Apocalypse. My abilities are becoming more and more wicked. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 51 The Power of Shooting. The door of the villa opened. Lin Qi took a look at the corpse on the ground and the tools that fell to the side, and his eyes were filled with murderous intent. It seems that they think we are easy to bully. We must make these people reflect on themselves. If they did not interfere with each other, Lin Qi would not care about the villa occupied by those people, as long as they did not disturb his life. But now that they have climbed over the wall, if they continue to give in, it will undoubtedly give people the feeling that they are easy to bully. If you kill one, there will be a second one, and then a group. The boss of the other party will definitely not sit idly by and watch his younger brother die outside. Therefore, from the moment that guy climbed over the wall, the matter was a foregone conclusion. Bai Su and Xiao Tuanshan also came to the door with rifles, showing all their only armed forces. After all, the other side had a large number of people, and Lin Qi alone could not shoot arrows. You go inside and hide, don't come out yet. Sure enough, not long after, several cars drove over, and when they saw Lin Qi standing in front of the villa, they not only did not slow down, but also stepped on the accelerator to protest. Be careful, they may have guns. In the car, Brother Wang looked nervous. He took a special look in front of the villa and found that there was only one person holding a bow and arrow, so he breathed a sigh of relief. They have guns, but we don't. The guys we have are not vegetarians. In the back seat, a strong man held a double-barreled rifle in his hand with a look of disdain. Before the doomsday came, the boss prepared for it and made several kinds of hot weapons in his factory. The double-barreled spray gun in his hand was very powerful. One shot swept across a large area. He once relied on this gun to open a passage in the zombie group. The power is naturally self-evident. Run over. Kill him. Seeing that there was only one person holding a bow and arrow, the few people naturally didn't care. Looking at the car getting closer and closer, Lin Qi took a deep breath and put the metal arrow on his back on the bow and arrow. Spiral arrow. The dragon throws a hurricane to break the world. The second time, the two skills were superimposed, and a more powerful bow and a more solid arrow were used. Even the illusory light and shadow on the arrowhead appeared in a spiral shape, and the sword feathers were also 3 feather spirals. A dragon broke out of the cage, bringing a tornado, and arrived in an instant. Boom. The arrow passed through the car, and the accelerating off-road vehicle was suddenly hit hard, and the front part of the car exploded instantly. The parts of the entire car were cut by an invisible force and shattered into countless pieces in an instant. Even the people in the car became pieces of flesh and blood, entangled with the fragments, and could not be distinguished from each other. The metal arrow passed through the car and nailed it to the hard concrete ground, blasting a big hole in the ground and lifting a piece of concrete. The cars behind suddenly stepped on the brakes, and before they could react, they almost rear-ended and had a car accident. Seeing this, Lin Qi was silently shocked by the destructive power of the new weapon and took out another metal arrow. Xiao Tuanshan was full of admiration. This was the strength of her husband. He could destroy a car with just one arrow. Her eyes were full of stars. She almost couldn't help but come forward to celebrate. Bai Su opened her mouth in surprise. She had the most say in the particularity of gene awakening, but that was limited to the power of the human body itself. She had not yet found a way to extend it. Lin Qi's current means were beyond her cognition. Get out of the car. He's going to shoot again. There were constant cries of fear in the car. After scrambling to get out of the car, they hurriedly hid everywhere. Staying in the car was just a living target. Only running out would give them a chance of survival. However, the second arrow was shot at a faster speed. The extra flight distance even made the arrow's power more comprehensive. The rotating hurricane whistled past, and even the snow on the ground was lifted up, and followed the arrow into a snow dragon. An arrow flew past, as if a hurricane passed by. The car at the back exploded and blocked all the roads. Tuanshan, Bai Su, kill them all. Don't leave any alive. Lin Qi ordered in a deep voice. His hand that had released the bowstring was already numb. If he fired another arrow combo at this moment, he would probably be overloaded. Therefore, he could only switch to ordinary carbon fiber arrows and draw the bow to shoot. But even so, it was like an arrow of death, constantly taking away the lives of those people. Zhao Tuanxuan was the first to react. Her pupils slightly dilated, and she instantly entered the state of opening the gene lock. She quickly pulled a bolt and aimed at the panicked crowd. Bang! 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 With each gunshot, her chest trembled, offsetting the impact. With a silencer, each shot hit the target, but the sound was very dull. Looking at the heads exploding in the scope, Tuanxuan gradually felt the blood boiling in her body, and her face flushed unconsciously. Bai Su hesitated for a moment, and also picked up the rifle to aim, but her shooting speed was far inferior to Zhao Tuanxuan, but her accuracy was equally amazing. Every shot hit the head, and not a single bullet was wasted. 3 minutes later, there was no life on the road, only a few damaged cars were left, reminding people of the tragedy that had just happened. Lin Qi slowly walked forward with a bow and arrow, checking the cars one by one, and even the corpses that ran away were not spared. These people are not ordinary, they even have homemade firearms. There were several homemade firearms on the ground, including modified air guns and double-barreled shotguns. Lin Qi picked up one and took a look. Although the workmanship was a bit rough, the power was not small. Don't underestimate the industrial system of the Federation. As long as the federal government gives an order, some third-rate small factories have the ability to independently produce thermal weapons. What they lack is only the limitation of precision materials. Bai Su was not surprised to see those weapons. In fact, this was also the reason why she did not object to Lin Qi's killing. Once a group forms a force in the doomsday, they will definitely do evil. Don't underestimate human nature. If the boss does not give his subordinates the opportunity to indulge, who would be willing to die for him? Unless you join the Federation, you can truly restrain your behavior. Lin Qi picked up a few that looked intact and took them back to study. As for the corpses and fragments on the ground, he left them here. On the one hand, it could warn the group of people, and on the other hand, it could attract some mutant beasts and zombies and use them as bigger bait. Back in the villa, in front of the third-floor window, he could just see the situation outside. The big commotion just now had attracted the attention of those people. Soon, some people appeared and wandered around, but no one dared to approach. What if they come again? Bai Su looked at Lin Qi worriedly. She had just checked the weapon she brought back. Although the workmanship was rough, the power was not bad. If the other party was prepared, they might not be able to take advantage. Do you think they dare to come again? If my hand hadn't cramped, I would have killed them directly. Lin Qi asked Tuan Tuan to help him massage his arm to relieve the soreness of his muscles. Although he couldn't fight back at this time, he was not panicked at all. Don't be so arrogant. They also have a lot of guns, and we only have 2. Tuan Tuan squeezed Lin Qi's arm hard, thinking whether to apply hot milk to him at night, maybe he would recover faster. 2 rifles are enough. We occupy the terrain. As long as we guard the villa, they can't get in. I will strengthen the villa's alarm system in the next few days, and it will alert anyone approaching. Bai Su turned on the nearby surveillance and turned on the alarm system. As long as the 2 rifles are fully fired, they can easily crush the hundreds of people on the opposite side, as long as the other side does not have a strong man who has opened the gene lock. Sure enough, those people just looked from a distance for a while and disappeared from sight. We can be quiet for a few days. They shouldn't dare to come again. More than 20 combat members died in one battle, and several cars and some weapons were lost. It was already a serious injury to this force. There is no loyalty in the doomsday. Even if the leader is angry, his men dare not come to die. If they make a wrong decision, it may cause unrest. Sure enough, in the next few days, no one dared to step into the sight range of the villa, and the corpses outside became bait to attract mutant creatures. As long as Lin Qi found signs of mutant beasts, he would quickly run out of the villa and kill them. The convoy did not even dare to send people to come again, and even converged the control range, driving several trucks to the edge of the villa area, and there was a possibility of leaving at any time. In the laboratory, Bai Su prepared a special potion and soaked the materials of several mutant beasts into it. If you want to make a special bow, you need the horns of special mutant beasts. Rhinoceros horns are the most suitable, and cow horns are also okay, but it is difficult to encounter such creatures in the city. These things can only make you an arrow. On the table were the materials obtained by Lin Qi from hunting mutant beasts, including cat claws, dog claws, teeth, and bird claws. The colloid decomposed by gene crystallization can dissolve these hard substances into liquids and reshape them. This is the use of a new type of material. Chapter 52 Open the Gene Lock. Lin Qi had to give up the idea of a new weapon. Anyway, this blow was enough for now. A few days later, mutant rats appeared outside the villa, but there were only a few of them, which posed no threat at all. However, Lin Qi still took out the animal repellent powder and sprinkled it outside. Perhaps if there were more rats, he could deal with a group of people without having to do anything himself. On this day, Lin Qi had taken 10 gene crystals and felt the constant changes in his body's power. Just as Bai Su said, the 10 gene crystals had comprehensively improved his own genes, and he could vaguely feel some changes in his body. Your body has grown 3 centimeters taller, but your weight has increased by 20 kilograms, but it doesn't look like much has changed. After the test, Bai Su presented Lin Qi's detailed data. The increase in weight did not show externally, which meant that the bones and muscles were more dense. However, after taking 10 gene crystals, Lin Qi did not feel what Bai Su said, that the gene tolerance had reached the upper limit, and he seemed to be able to take more. When he learned about this situation, Bai Su pushed his glasses and explained patiently. This situation has also occurred. The soldiers who participated in the experiment were all strong. The best of them could withstand 11 or even 12 gene crystals before their own gene tolerance reached the limit and touched the gene lock barrier. For ordinary people, 10 is already the limit. Of course, those who can exceed the limit must be the best among humans. Only Tuanchuan is a little special. She seems to have never taken gene crystals before. This kind of situation of opening the gene lock in advance and without sequelae is the first time I have seen it. Bai Su looked at Zhao Tuanchuan, who was studying on the side, her eyes full of envy. Without the restriction of the gene lock, it will accept its own power more quickly, fully absorb the ability of each gene, and even start the second stage of evolution in advance. The first stage of the gene lock does not have many restrictions. As long as enough is accumulated, it can touch the layer of restriction and try to open it. But the second stage is very different. In the experiment that Bai Su participated in before, the gene crystals of the second-order mutant beast were used to let the soldiers who opened the gene lock take it to further enhance their strength. But the effects of taking different crystals are different. Even some mutant beasts with special abilities can give humans special abilities. There is also a kind of crystal in the mutant insects, called evolution crystal, which is mostly green in color and has the same effect as the second-order mutation knot. If there is no official guidance after opening the gene lock, if you mistakenly choose to absorb the gene crystal, your potential will not be able to reach the limit, and you will stop at this level, and your genes will never be improved. These unknown news have been sealed by the Federation, and only a few people know the inside story. On the one hand, the major forces of the Federation want to seize the initiative and obtain a large number of gene crystals in advance, and on the other hand, they can use this secret information to recruit survivors. Of course, there is another limitation, that is, the strength of ordinary survivors must not be superior to that of the Federation. Sure enough, the means of becoming stronger are generally in the hands of the big forces, and the results of countless experiments and research will definitely not be announced so quickly. I was able to know it in advance, and it was still because of Bai Su. 2 days later, Lin Qi absorbed 2 more gene crystals, and finally reached the limit of his own gene tolerance. But when his hand touched his chest, a prompt to open the gene lock appeared. Detected that there is a gene lock in the body. Do you want to open it? Lin Qi did not hesitate, and silently said to open it. The moment his mind turned, a powerful force gushed out from his blood and spread throughout his body. The pupils of his eyes dilated slightly, and everything around him seemed to slow down. His perception became extremely sharp. His mind gradually replayed the scene of the previous fight with Tuanchuan. In an instant, he had several more ways to deal with it. If he was given another chance to fight, he could easily subdue the opponent. This feeling is like the sublimation of the body. Lin Qi slowly stood up and moved. He could almost feel the beating of every muscle in his body, and even his strength was more than twice as much as before. Of course, this situation varies from person to person. He has already taken 12 gene crystals, and the physical fitness he has enhanced is far greater than that of ordinary people. Before, Tuanchuan only took 1 gene crystal to open the gene lock, and his strength only increased by about 30%. After moving his body for a while, Lin Qi, like Tuanchuan, did not feel any physical restrictions. It was not until 10 minutes later that he felt his whole body slowly getting hot. This was because the blood circulation speed was getting faster and the body was under pressure. Feeling this change, Lin Qi closed the gene lock. Suddenly, he felt a heavy feeling, as if something was stripped away from him. Sure enough, I don't have any sequelae. Is this the ability of perfect unlocking? Lin Qi put his hand on his chest again, and an illusory light curtain appeared in front of him. Detected that the gene lock has been opened. Do you want to force it to close? The new prompt surprised Lin Qi. Did he close the gene lock? Why did such a prompt appear? And it was forced to close? But he could open it at any time, so it was understandable to try it. So he thought about it and forced it to close. In an instant, he felt as if a force was sealed in his body. The blessing he had gained from breaking through the gene limit before gradually disappeared. What's the use of this? Lin Qi tried to actively open the gene lock, but no matter how hard he tried, he could not feel the barrier he had before. It was not until he put his hand on his chest and opened the gene lock again that the feeling returned to his body. One is the main switch and the other is the sub-switch. After studying for a long time, he was still confused. Lin Qi had to give up temporarily and went to the second-floor research room to think of a solution. Bai Su was guiding Tuanchuan to study. The two were studying the eggs in the culture dish. When she saw Lin Qi coming in, she looked up and greeted him. Tuanchuan, come here. Lin Qi waved his hand, and when Tuanchuan came over, he put his hand on her chest. Oh, what are you doing? The teacher is here. Tuanchuan subconsciously thought that Lin Qi was going to do something, and her voice was slightly trembling. Don't move, how do you feel? Lin Qi saw the prompt to turn off the gene lock again, so he turned off Tuanchuan's gene lock and wanted to find out how she would feel. If you hadn't told me, I really wouldn't have felt it. My gene lock seems to be unable to be opened. The body's clear cognition, just a slight difference will be noticed. Zhao Tuanchuan felt the changes in her body in an instant. The power that she could easily control before had disappeared. However, she was not anxious, but believed in Lin Qi unconditionally. Let's do this for now, try to see if there are any changes, and tell me in time if you feel anything unusual. Trying on two people at the same time, Lin Qi can find the problem faster. After all, the perfect lock-picking ability should not have such a simple function. Chapter 53 Top Gun New Skills. Just as Lin Qi was repeatedly studying the gene lock, the black boss in the villa area encountered big trouble again. The black boss was named Joshikan. More than 20 of his men were killed in front of Lin Qi's villa. He moved immediately and hid in the outer part of the villa area, the one closest to the main road in the north of the city. Originally, he also had the intention of revenge, but his men were already scared. After listening to the two ways he analyzed, they chose the one of retreat without hesitation. The dead brothers are dead, and the living brothers must enjoy themselves well, so as not to live up to the tragic death of their brothers. According to eyewitness reports, the man only used a bow and arrow to shoot two cars, with a power comparable to that of an RPG rocket launcher. In addition, there were two people in the villa who used rifles, just like opening the lock and hanging, and the thieves were extremely cruel. Hiding at the edge of the villa, Joshikan sent people to watch every day, fearing that the man would come to trouble them again. He even began to look for a suitable safe area and planned to leave this place of right and wrong. But the incident a few days ago, for some reason, attracted a large number of zombies, almost gathered in groups outside the villa area, and slowly gathered here around the artificial lake. His villa will be the first to be hit by the zombies. Boss, why don't we change places? There are too many zombies. Looking from a high place, there were dense zombies parading by the lake, and many people were even pushed into the lake, but in a blink of an eye, they were eaten by unknown creatures in the lake. Damn, it's so hard to find such a good place. Where did these zombies come from? Joshikan cursed and roughly guessed that too many people must have died a few days ago, and after the blood and Qi spread, they attracted the nearby zombies. In fact, these zombies are all infected people in a large hospital nearby. When the doomsday came, most people could not bear the virus mutation and mutated into zombies. The isolation hospital was the first to be hit and completely fell in just half a day. But the tightly closed door and high wall trapped the zombies inside. As the snow melted, the zombies resumed their movements. A large number of zombies were about to knock open the iron door of the hospital, and gradually moved to the villa area along the direction of the blood. At the same time, Lin Qi also noticed the zombies outside the villa area. Looking through the high-powered scope of the rifle, there were still many mutants. Here they come. A big wave is coming. If ordinary survivors saw so many zombies, they should hide as far away as possible, but for Lin Qi, these were all experienced babies for him to brush his skills. So many zombies. Tuan's face turned pale. Looking at the dark figures by the lake, he subconsciously moved closer to Lin Qi. Bai Su, who was standing by, carefully observed with the scope of another gun. From the clothes on the zombies, he could judge which area they migrated from. The zombies' movements are traceable. It should be the butterfly effect caused by the bloody smell a few days ago. I'm afraid that the zombies in the entire northern part of the city will continue to gather here. These low-level zombies are usually inconspicuous. Even if a dozen of them gather together, they can't make any waves. But if thousands of them gather together to form a zombie tide, without heavy firepower suppression, they must avoid their sharp edge. There was a trace of worry on her face. If she was surrounded by these zombies and couldn't get out for a long time, the trouble would get bigger and bigger. If we leave here now, the supplies of the entire villa will be wasted. Let's wait a little longer. Maybe these zombies will leave soon. Lin Qi continued to watch with a scope. Besides, the group in front of him could bear the impact first, and he could also see how strong they were. For the whole morning, the three of them were at the window on the third floor, observing the zombies' movements. Joshikin was also making arrangements in front of the villa. He mobilized the remaining trucks to block all the passages leading to his villa, hoping to stop the zombie tide. After all, the supplies he brought were stored in the villa, and he couldn't evacuate in a short time. Although these zombies moved slowly, they passed through the grass by the lake in half a day and gradually surrounded the villa area. His arrangement was obviously effective. After encountering the blocking vehicles, the zombies could only follow the reserved passages and split to both sides, gradually spreading over. That guy is quite smart. Lin Qi took in the situation in the distance through the high-power scope. In his field of vision, the leading zombie was about to arrive near his villa. It was not until the next day that the mainstream of the zombie tide slowly passed through the villa area, but there were still a large number of zombies left, making the originally quiet villa area lively. Standing at the window on the third floor, looking into the eyes, there were 3 or 2 zombies wandering almost every 10 meters. I'm going out to find a few zombies to practice, you guys watch the house. Lin Qi came to the studio and took a look at the weapons hanging on the wall. Bow and arrow skills cannot be improved in a short period of time. Instead of accumulating slowly, it is better to focus on improving new weapon skills. So he took a look at the skill requirements of the spear. There were only a dozen zombies left to complete the advanced conditions. Just take a gun and a knife. With a long knife tied to his back, Lin Qi picked a fine steel gun, put on the mutant cat leather armor that Tuan had sewn for him, and walked towards the gate of the villa. When he opened the gate of the villa, there was a rotting zombie 3 meters away. When the zombie noticed a movement at the door, the gun tip had already pierced into his skull before he turned around. 1. Lin Qi withdrew his hand and put away the gun. He took 3 steps forward and accurately hit another zombie with a long gun. Most of the zombies left in the villa area at this moment were slow-moving and severely rotten. This kind of zombie had not eaten for a long time, and the energy in the body was overconsumed, so there was not much threat at all. Along the way, more than a dozen zombies had fallen on the ground, and the high-level gun skills finally ushered in the advancement. High-level gun skills can be advanced. Advanced conditions. 1. Kill 100 targets with a long gun. Completed. 2. Kill 3 mutant creatures. Completed. 3. Consume 3 gene crystals. Completed. High-level spearmanship has been upgraded to top-level spearmanship special skill, Fueling Xiang Xianpo. Current skill can be upgraded. Upgrade requirements. 1. Kill 500 zombies. 2. Kill 100 mutant creatures. 3. Consume 50 second-order gene crystals. 4. Consume 10 second-order evolution crystals. Another awesome name, and after completing the upgrade conditions, the special skill of the spear has already appeared in Lin Qi's mind, as if it was engraved. And the first skill before seems to have changed to a certain extent. This skill is a bit gorgeous. Lin Qi simulated it in his mind, and turned the spear in his hand to hold it horizontally in front. Just not far ahead, a mutant zombie appeared, and it sensed a breath of the living, and roared towards Lin Qi. This mutant zombie was nearly 2 meters tall, and a stratum corneum had grown on its body. The exposed skin was dark, showing explosive muscles. It was already a leader among the mutant zombies. It strode forward, and when it stepped out, it splashed the mud on the ground, leaving a deep footprint. Its whole body flew into the air and pounced on Lin Qi, fueling Xiang Xianpo. With a thud, Lin Qi held a spear horizontally and spun up. Suddenly, a hurricane arose around him. The strong wind pressure directly pushed the mutant zombie back. When it was more than 10 meters in the air, it pointed a gun. A huge gun shadow, with a powerful impact force, hit the mutant zombie on the ground, instantly submerging the mutant zombie. Chapter 54, A New Energy Source. Lin Qi fell from the sky, and his spear hit the ground, and then he stabilized his body. Did your husband fly just now? On the second floor of the villa, Bai Su and Tuan Tuan were studying something, but through the window just now, she still saw Lin Qi's flying figure. Ah. Where? Tuan Tuan came forward curiously, but the outer wall just blocked her view, so she missed the wonderful scene. Teacher, you are lying to me again. Tuan Tuan looked shy. When she was doing the experiment just now, she was distracted several times and kept peeking out the window, hoping to see Lin Qi's figure. After all, there are many zombies outside now, and she must be worried. She didn't expect to be teased by the teacher like this, and the girl must be a little embarrassed. I didn't lie to you, you will know when he comes back. Bai Su has seen many abilities after the gene awakening. No matter how strange it is, Bai Su is not surprised. She is now concentrating on studying the things on the experimental table. It is the crystal decomposed from 3 gene crystals, which she shaped into a cylindrical shape and fixed on the instrument. At this moment, after the power was turned on, the transparent cylinder gradually emitted a strong light. Fortunately, it didn't fail. This crystal conversion energy is a new energy source that the Federation has previously researched using biotechnology, although it has not yet been fully popularized in terms of development and utilization. After being activated by electric current, the energy in the crystal will continue to be released, and the effect is hundreds of times stronger than that of ordinary batteries. Bai Su carefully took out the cylinder, which was only 2 centimeters long, from the instrument and placed it in the device. Teacher, is this the new energy you are talking about? The crystals separated from the 3 gene crystals are only so small, and the energy blocks made from them don't seem to have much effective storage, so Tuan Tuan didn't have much hope at all. Don't underestimate this thing, just a light bulb in our room, this one can keep it lit for a month. And this is only the crystal separated from the lowest level of gene crystals, and the energy conversion it has is far less than that of the pure and high one. Outside the villa, Lin Qi changed into a long sword and began to brush the advanced requirements of the long sword skills. There are many zombies that are alone, and some remote corners are even trapped with dozens of them. For Lin Qi, it is equivalent to a group of monsters refreshing. Soon, he used the long sword to kill 10 zombies. This weapon, which is equivalent to an extension of the arm, is more flexible. After only mastering the first stage, Lin Qi liked this feeling. Especially when he was chopping melons at close range, the feeling of cutting into the bones and muscles would make Lin Qi feel his blood swell and his mood inexplicably agitated. This feeling is completely incomparable to the long spear. The basic sword technique has been advanced. Advanced sword technique. My sword is thirsty. When using the long sword, it is surrounded by domineering. Special skill, Thunder Slash. The current skill can be advanced. Advanced requirements. 1. Use the long sword to kill 100 mutant zombies. 2. Use the long sword to kill 10 first-level mutant beasts. 3. Obtain 5 first-level gene crystals. Domineering. Lin Qi held the sword in one hand, and gradually a sense of enlightenment came to his mind. It was basically a bluff. How could the zombies on the opposite side feel the threat of domineering? However, this Thunder Slash was a bit of a gimmick. He immediately made a knife flower and charged a slash. A ray of lightning burst out from the long sword, leaving a shallow mark on the ground, extending to an ordinary zombie 10 meters away. With a roar, the zombie exploded in 2 in an instant, and the split body was charred. Thunder attack? It's getting more and more perverted. At this moment, Lin Qi felt like a peerless master, completely different from the survivors of the Doomsday world. After clearing all the zombies around the villa, Lin Qi returned to the villa, put his weapons back, cleaned his body, and walked towards the laboratory on the 2nd floor. Under normal circumstances, Bai Su and Tuan Tuan would be in the laboratory. Seeing Lin Qi appear at the door of the laboratory with his hair wiped, Tuan Tuan hurriedly greeted him. Honey, Teacher Bai said he saw you flying just now. There were little stars of expectation in her eyes. Flying? No way, I just jumped a little higher. Lin Qi glanced outside and roughly understood that Bai Su had seen him when he was performing his gun skills just now. In fact, after the gene lock is turned on, humans are likely to awaken the ability to fly. Bai Su pushed her glasses and recounted the data she had seen when she participated in the experiment. Human genes are very comprehensive. Most of the special abilities that appeared in dreams when children were young are the deep call of genes. When Lin Qi was a child, he often dreamed that he was flying in the sky. He only needed to find a place to leverage and push hard to fly a long distance. But when he grew up, he never had such a strange dream again. His own ability is so abnormal, so it is not unacceptable for others to fly. There are many things in Bai Su's laboratory that Lin Qi can't name, but this kind of experiment always gives people a sense of curiosity, especially the insect eggs cultured in several glass containers in the corner. At the right temperature, these insect eggs have shown signs of hatching, and there are even several insect larvae. It's just that the difference between these larvae and the original insects is too big. Just like the mantis eggs that Bai Su had picked from the tree, several almost transparent little mantises hatched from the eggs. After a while, the little mantises turned yellow-gray, and the soft sickle glowed like a metal. Seeing Lin Qi's interest in the mantis, Bai Su took the opportunity to explain. Don't underestimate these mantises. They are only in the larval stage now. As long as they start to grow, they will continue to metamorphose. The final adult should be able to grow to about half a meter, and this is still a first-order mutant insect. In order to let Lin Qi understand in detail, Bai Su projected an image. Mantises of this size are already qualified to prey on large animals. Growing 100 times in size? Is this the peculiarity of genetic evolution? Lin Qi recalled in his mind that a half-meter-long mantis launched a surprise attack in the air, and its sharp sickle fell, and a head flew directly. Such a large mantis should be delicious when fried. Of course, as long as the number of such things is not large, they will eventually become food. Indeed, the protein content is very high. Most of the remaining experimental subjects have not yet completed their transformation, so Bai Su did not introduce them. Instead, she began to explain the crystal energy she had just made. The purpose was nothing more than to make Lin Qi aware of the convenience of this energy and strive for more research resources. Until the evening, when the three had just finished dinner and were left by Bai Su to make up lessons, they suddenly heard a roar coming from outside, as if something exploded. From the sound, it should be near the villa area, the villa of the previous convoy. Lin Qi was also very sensitive to the transmission of sound, and he determined the direction at the first time. So he quickly picked up the rifle and came to the balcony on the third floor. Sure enough, at the edge of the villa area, a flame rose, and bursts of roars were heard from time to time. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 55 Aerial Cleaning Plan. The zombies in the daytime had just passed through, but some special creatures appeared at night. They were some mutant zombies and mutant beasts. They wreaked havoc in the villa area during the day, one step ahead of the ordinary zombies, and after eating the bodies of the survivors, they hid. But at night, following the smell of blood, they gradually came to the vicinity of the villa of the group. The mutant zombies already have strong mobility, and they can easily climb over even the 3-meter-high courtyard wall. Once they enter the villa, it will be a massacre. Damn it. Didn't I say that we need to disinfect? Sprinkle alcohol around the villa. How can these zombies come in? Joshikin hid on the third floor of the villa in his pajamas with a terrified face. Seeing the black shadows running around outside, he was so scared that he broke out in cold sweat. Boss, brothers and sisters sprinkle alcohol every day, and they are just short of taking a bath with alcohol. We don't know where these guys come from. Joshikin's men held double-barreled shotguns, but they didn't dare to go downstairs. Hearing the screams from outside, they were all scared to their legs. Damn it. Let's fight these bastards. Joshikin was worthy of being the boss. He mustered up his courage at the critical moment and rushed out with a shotgun. At this time, everyone retreated to the lobby on the first floor and guarded the door of the villa. Once a zombie approached, several shotguns burst into flames at the same time, and countless steel balls exploded, covering the door. Even the mutant zombies could not withstand such fire suppression. As soon as they showed their heads, Their limbs were blown up and exploded into pieces. This kind of factory-made shotgun has fierce firepower, but its shortcomings are also very obvious. After just 2 rounds, everyone was in a mess. "Go up. Move things to block the door," Joshikin commanded loudly from behind, and at the same time asked his brothers to carry weapons and keep coming forward to support. But suddenly, a woman's scream came from upstairs, but some agile mutant zombies climbed up the stairs and rushed into the bedroom on the 3rd floor. Those hiding there were all Joshikin's women, but at this moment they became delicacies in the mouths of zombies. After just a short moment, the scream stopped abruptly, and heavy footsteps came from upstairs, gradually approaching the stairs. Bang! 2 smooth long legs flew down from upstairs and fell in front of Joshikin. The smooth thighs were full of torn wounds, but a large bloody band-aid fell out from the cross of the legs. Seeing this thing, Joshikin immediately understood, and his face flushed instantly. Damn it! Come to your mother's aunt. At this moment, how could he not understand how these zombies were attracted here? The roar of the explosion lasted for half an hour before the sound gradually stopped. Lin Qi put down the high-powered scope and roughly understood that the people in the convoy were basically gone. Without absolute strength, you still dare to be so ostentatious. What's the difference between it and seeking death? Since this group of people came to the villa area and brought so many women, Lin Qi knew that they would not be active for long. However, every death will bring survival experience to the living, and it is not without a little effect. Until dawn, the 3 of them did not dare to sleep. After all, after this riot, the mutant zombies and mutant beasts hiding in the dark became active. After devouring fresh flesh and blood, these troubles will become extremely active when they are full, and even kill each other. Lin Qi took out some animal repellent powder and sprinkled it around the villa to completely cover up the 3 people's breath. Then he planned not to go out for a while. Without opening the gene lock, the power of his gun and the skill of his swordsmanship are enough to kill ordinary mutant creatures with 1 blow. For now, it is enough. But when encountering a large number of mutant beasts, you still have to avoid their sharp edges. And yesterday's repeated opening of the gene lock finally made Lin Qi realize the loophole that can be exploited. After taking 12 gene crystals, he felt a bottleneck of gene restrictions, so he opened the gene lock. The effect of taking gene crystals later on the improvement of the body is already negligible, and it is difficult to improve it. But after forcibly closing the gene lock, the restriction bottleneck that was felt before seemed to disappear. It was not until Lin Qi took another gene crystal that the feeling of bottleneck restriction reappeared. In other words, Lin Qi had a loophole and took 13 gene crystals before the first order gene lock was opened. 4 days later, Lin Qi felt that the bottleneck restriction disappeared again, so he took another gene crystal. The 14th one. Let's move to the basement to live temporarily these days. On this day, Bai Su destroyed all the experimental subjects she had studied, sealed the data records, and completely terminated her experiment. What's wrong? You don't plan to continue the research? Lin Qi looked at Bai Su's abnormal behavior and was a little confused. Even if she didn't continue the research, she would observe the changes of the mutant Zerg and record the data of genetic evolution. Why did she terminate the experiment so quickly? I received some news. The whole world and the Federation have jointly decided to implement an aerial cleaning plan in uninhabited areas or evacuated cities. Bai Su's face was heavy. This aerial cleaning plan passed by the resolution is divided into 3 levels. The first is to target sparsely populated areas such as mountainous areas, hills, basins and rivers, using cluster bombs to cover and bomb on a large scale to strangle the mutant Zerg that has not yet hatched in the cradle. The second is to implement carpet cleaning near the isolated safe camp at the edge of the town, and clear out an absolutely safe area for the camp in the future. The third is to implement small-yield hydrogen bomb annihilation in uninhabited areas, completely destroying all life forms as a new territory for humans to rebuild their homes. After listening to Bai Su's retelling, the room fell into absolute silence for a while. Lin Qi subconsciously turned on the gene lock, letting himself fall into an absolutely calm state, and then began to analyze the feasibility of this plan. But after a long while, his face was still heavy, and he had to exit the gene lock state. Insufficient information, in my opinion. I can't judge the feasibility. Those who can propose an aerial cleaning plan must have taken all factors into consideration. Those factors are not something Lin Qi can know at all, so naturally he can't put himself in their shoes. This is the most beneficial method for mankind, chosen by a brain awakener who has opened the gene lock after deducing hundreds of times. In fact, they all know that doing so will cause irreparable damage to the whole world, but almost everyone who participated in the meeting agreed. Bai Su's face became more and more ugly. Because of her special identity, she knew more than Lin Qi. How is it possible? At least some people from different factions must oppose it, right? Lin Qi expressed his incomprehension. No matter when, there is no shortage of saints in this world. How is it possible that almost everyone agrees with this plan? Because after the implementation of the aerial cleaning plan, the pattern of the whole world will change. The whole world will no longer have the boundaries of the Federation, nor will there be national restrictions. There are only various shelters and safe zones. The intensification experiment made people realize that when the disaster comes in the future, the harm to mankind will be far more terrible than it is now. Only when the first stage Zerg has not yet hatched, while they are at their weakest, can a devastating blow be inflicted. Chapter 56, The New World After Destruction. The three of them moved the important instruments from the second floor to the basement overnight. When they finished everything, it was already late at night. In the safe house on the third floor of the basement, they simply made a bed on the floor and slept in their clothes. A small lamp was placed on the table beside them. Even with the lowest power, it could illuminate the safe house. Tuanxuan hugged Lin Qi's arm tightly. The confusion about the future made her feel depressed for a short time, and she became depressed. Even if she was just an ordinary person, she would feel powerless after learning that the whole world was falling apart. In fact, most of the survivors have always hoped that the Federation could quickly resolve this crisis and live a normal life again. People hate being ordinary, but after experiencing the doomsday, they will envy that kind of ordinary life. What they have always had is what they can only hope for. Boom. Suddenly there was a roar, and the ground trembled. Tuanxuan subconsciously hugged Lin Qi. Even Bai Su, who had always been calm, subconsciously clung to Lin Qi, looking for a sense of security. After a roar, there were continuous roars. Even in the safe house on the third floor of the basement, Lin Qi could still feel the violent tremor. From far to near, it even felt as if it was exploding above his head. The three of them hugged each other and resisted the tremor together. It didn't last long. When the aftermath dissipated, they fell into complete silence again. It should be fine. Lin Qi slowly let go of the two people, picked up the energy lamp that fell on the ground, turned the power to the maximum, and illuminated the entire space. The safe house was still solid, but some dust was shaken off, and there were no obvious cracks on the wall. It's really ridiculous. In order to strengthen themselves and resist foreign enemies, the Federation and even various countries have vigorously developed their own weapons and equipment to deter foreign enemies. I didn't expect that these weapons would eventually be used in their own countries. Even guns and ammunition were slaughtered by their own citizens. Under the light, Bai Su's face looked even paler. Now that the Federation has been divided into safe zones, it means that the top power has been decomposed, and the leaders of the major safe zones have become the highest commanders. You wait here, I'll go out and see what's going on. Lin Qi ignored Bai Su's sigh, pushed open the deformed iron door, and came to the third floor of the basement. After the bombing on the upper floor, although the basement did not collapse, most of the shelves that had been used to store goods fell to the ground, and the supplies were scattered all over the floor. And most importantly, the power supply system of the villa was completely paralyzed. The damage on the second floor of the basement was even more serious, and even cracks appeared on the wall, but the stairs leading to the upper floor were still intact. When Lin Qi got to the first floor of the basement, he was completely blocked by the collapsed ruins. The spiral staircase was completely buried. It seemed that a bomb had fallen on the top of the villa, turning the three-story villa into ruins. The wall of the garage exit also collapsed in half, but the gap was still enough for people to get out. Lin Qi breathed a sigh of relief. Since there was an exit, there was no problem. So he returned to the safe house on the third floor of the basement and brought Tuan and Bai Su out. The three of them climbed out of the ruins. It was already bright outside, but the gray sky completely blocked their sight. But you can still see streaks of fire streaking across the sky and flying everywhere. After a round of comprehensive bombing, the smoke and dust spread by the explosion has not dissipated in a short time. Even though Lin Qi has excellent eyesight, he can't see too far away. The three-story villa behind him collapsed completely, and there were traces of burning on the ruins. The three people stood in the ruins, giving people a sense of loneliness and desolation. This is the real doomsday. Tuan Tuan grabbed the corner of Lin Qi's clothes nervously, her bright eyes were soaked with tears, and the sad mood filled her heart unconsciously. Don't be afraid, even if it's the end of the world, I will still be with you. Lin Qi whispered to comfort him. He didn't have such a strong sense of belonging to this world, so his mood swings were far less intense than the two of them. The buried basement can be used as a temporary shelter. The three retreated again. After reinforcing some measures at the entrance of the cave, they began to count the remaining supplies. Several cars in the garage were damaged to varying degrees, but the armored vehicle was still intact. As the last means of transportation, this armored vehicle was Lin Qi's last reliance. Bai Su checked the wiring in the basement and installed the crystal energy on the connected wiring. The basement was bright again. This energy battery can only last for 3 days. I need to make another one. The instrument brought out from the laboratory was not damaged. After Bai Su installed it on the workbench, he connected the power supply and started it again. I still have 5 gene crystals here. You can decompose them first. The most important thing at the moment is to keep the power flowing smoothly. I don't need to take gene crystals for a short time. After Bai Su took it, he got busy on the laboratory table. You guys should also learn it. This method of making new energy must be mastered in your own hands in the future. Bai Su did not hide anything. Now she was also very confused. After the division of the Federation, the unit she originally belonged to was probably disbanded, and it was even more unknown what power her family was in now. Therefore, this 3-person team now gave her a greater sense of belonging. After the hydrochloric acid was diluted to a certain degree, Bai Su put the 5 gene crystals in and waited. About an hour later, the hydrochloric acid in the vessel slowly calmed down. Bai Su carefully took out a ball of soft gel-wrapped gene liquid and placed it in another glass cup. Then, she carefully picked out the crystal that sank to the bottom with tweezers. The crystal still had some elasticity at this moment. After being placed in a special container and pressurized, it formed a simple cylinder. The last step is to apply a constant current to the crystal to activate the activity of the crystal energy. Bai Su explained each step in detail, making sure that the two of them remembered it clearly. After all were completed, the cylindrical crystal gradually emitted a blue light, even brighter than a light bulb. Done. Bai Su took out the energy crystal with an insulating clip. The energy crystal made of the material decomposed from the 5 gene crystals was not only 3 times larger than the previous one, but also contained dozens of times more energy. Lin Qi opened the energy device, took out the dim energy crystal inside, and adjusted the size of the energy compartment. After putting it in and closing the energy compartment, the basement lit up again. This is the new energy source. It's really convenient. This is just the energy crystal separated from the gene crystal in the lowest level mutant beast. If it is a powerful mutant beast, it is really unimaginable. 2 days later, the smoke and dust in the sky gradually dissipated. Chapter 57 Second Order Gene Crystal. The villa area was severely damaged, and most of the area became ruins. The lake in the distance was even more damaged by the explosion, and the lake water was diverted. Looking from a high place, the entire city was almost half destroyed, and only the area in the center of the city was relatively intact. The aerial cleaning plan does not clean up all places. Most of the heavy industrial cities have been preserved. Through satellite positioning, the main traffic arteries, factories, mining areas, etc. have been avoided and divided out. Bai Su slowly walked to Lin Qi's side, looking at the messy home. Her eyes gradually became dull. As a scientific researcher of the Federation, she has always had strong confidence in the Federation, but this sudden change completely defeated the only pride in her heart. The two stood outside for a long time before returning to the basement and began to collect important supplies. The basement of the villa cannot be stayed for a long time, and no one knows when it will collapse again. Lin Qi moved all the weapons he had made to the armored vehicle, and fixed the long guns on the roof. In the empty compartment, in addition to the necessary food, Bai Su's energy synthesis instrument was also installed. The computer brought from the community before was also useful. It was installed in a corner of the compartment. After connecting to the satellite network, it can receive news from the new world. Finally, the energy device was installed in the car to provide a stable power system for the car. This armored vehicle is a universal oil-electric type. This energy battery is enough to last for hundreds of kilometers. It took half a day to clean up the exit. The three of them got on the armored vehicle. With the roar of the engine, They rushed out of the ruins like a giant beast. I used the computer to connect to the satellite network system of the armored vehicle, and I will receive information later. Baisu sat in the back seat. This space was transformed into place-to-place a computer, which was just right for her to operate. Lin Qi nodded, turned the steering wheel and slowly drove out of the ruins and came to the outside of the villa. He had explored this place before. With the performance of the armored vehicle, it can easily drive through the bombed villa area, but it needs to turn some roads. The armored vehicle slowly rolled over the ruins, and when it reached a flat road, it slowly accelerated. After more than 10 minutes, it drove out of the villa area and came to the road by the lake. "Honey, is that a fish floating in the water?" Tuan Tuan leaned on the car window and saw a white thing on the lake, and asked uncertainly. After the bombing, several missiles fell into the lake, blasting several large pits on the bottom of the lake, and the water level was obviously lowered a lot. "It looks like a fish, but this fish seems to be too big." Lin Qi stopped the car, opened the door and walked out. When he arrived at the lake, he finally saw the thing floating on the shore. It had a fat white belly, long whiskers, and was surrounded by mucus. There was a huge crack on the fish's body, almost splitting the body in two, and the bright red flesh was still trembling slightly. What a big catfish! This catfish, which was upside down, was almost 3 meters long. It should have been blown out of the water and its body was severely damaged, but it was not completely dead yet. In the past, the viewing lake in the villa area was mostly filled with ornamental fish. Even if there were catfish, they only weighed a dozen pounds. This catfish, which was more than 3 meters long, weighed at least 500 pounds. It could be said to be the best among the mutant creatures. If there were gene crystals in its head, they would definitely be purer than what Lin Qi had obtained before. Sensing someone approaching, the mutant catfish shook its tail, but the trauma on its body had already made it unable to resist. "Don't get close yet, wait for me to get it up with something." Lin Qi quickly came to the roof of the car, pulled out a long spear, shook the spear body, and an illusory sickle hook spear tip extended out. When he found a suitable position by the lake, he suddenly stabbed at the fish's head. "Pick it up for me." The big catfish weighing more than 500 pounds was picked up without hesitation. With Lin Qi's current strength, it can be said that he can easily pick up something weighing more than 500 pounds. After picking up the mutant catfish ashore, he picked up the fish's head with a spear, and the wide fish's head instantly split into two, revealing the catfish's fine, saw-like fangs. After the skull was completely cracked open and the gray brain splattered out, Lin Qi used his spear to pick it a few times before pulling out a crystal with blood-red threads. This gene crystal was the size of a walnut, like red jade, with delicate lines on the surface. "This guy's gene crystal is so big." Lin Qi was surprised to see such a large gene crystal for the first time. This is a second-order gene crystal. The larger the animal, the larger the gene crystal. The catfish grows throughout its life. After the mutation, its size is its strong point. If it doesn't die, it will become the most powerful creature in this lake in a short time. Baisu found a glass bottle from the car and put the second-order gene crystal in it. This kind of individual gene crystal cannot be taken directly. It must be decomposed and turned into gene liquid to be absorbed slowly. Lin Qi went along the catfish's belly and threw it away completely. After seeing what was in the belly, he picked it out with disgust. "Oh, this catfish has eaten people." The contents of its stomach were several skeletons that were almost completely digested, and even the bones showed signs of melting. Tuan Chun covered his mouth and ran away quickly. The stench of the rotting corpses was not only a torture to the taste buds of humans, but also a shock to the soul. I was thinking of cutting 2 pieces of meat to make hot pot, but once the juice dripped, it was all over. The green water from the rotting corpse flowed all over the ground, dyeing the white and tender fish meat green, completely making Lin Qi lose his appetite. Theoretically, this fish meat can be eaten, and it is also good for the body. If you really want to eat it, you can get a piece to try. Baisu pushed her glasses. When she was doing biological research, she had seen more disgusting scenes than this, and she had long been accustomed to it. "Forget it. Next time before cutting meat, remind me not to break my stomach, maybe I will still have an appetite." Lin Qi shook his head quickly, shook off the mucus on the spear, and reinserted it on the roof of the car, ready to leave the lake. The armored vehicle started up again, and after climbing up the slope with a roar, they finally arrived at the wide road. I downloaded the new satellite map. Baisu tapped on the keyboard, and a brand new map slowly appeared on the screen. Unlike the previous green picture, this map was gray and foggy. Lin Qi glanced at it and was speechless. The satellite scan map is like this, it's impossible to see it. This map may have been scanned during the explosion a few days ago. You can even see mushroom clouds in some areas, and traces of missiles everywhere. The new map has not come out yet, so you can only look at this first, as long as you can roughly determine the location. Baisu slowly enlarged the location of the 32nd City District and drew an area. We are here now. The nearest isolation safety zone to the 32nd City District is 30 kilometers southeast, but that isolation safety zone is relatively small. It should be planned as a shelter now. I don't recommend us to go there. The safety zone was originally converted from a factory. Even if it was expanded a little, there were not many usable equipment in it. If you go there, you will be used as labor to build a fortress for the shelter. Where should we go then? Find another large shelter. Lin Qi didn't want to go to a shelter controlled by the Federation. Once inside, there would be no freedom at all. Even if he showed impressive strength, he would still face a lot of trouble. He wasn't looking for trouble. Go north, keep going north. The further north you go, the safer it is. The north is late in the spring, and hibernating animals and insects come out later than in the south. As long as we keep going north, we will have enough time to avoid the peak season. Thanks to Wang Nibadaya Oku Li for the 5,000 coin reward. Thanks to Li Ulvsc2 for the 600 coin reward. Chapter 58 What We Can Do. In peacetime, it takes only a few hours to cross the Federation by plane or high-speed rail. Even if you drive on the highway, it won't take long. But the situation is different now. After the bombing, some roads are always destroyed. If you want to cross most of the Federation and reach the north, you must make long-term preparations. The armored vehicle drove onto the provincial road and moved forward slowly. After the bombing, the city was in ruins everywhere, and even zombies were rare. Zizzy, zizzy. Warning, warning, survivors who receive the message, please go to the nearest shelter in front of you. The coastal city in the south has fallen. Please follow the Federal Army and evacuate to the north. The sound of the broadcast kept coming from the car. Through the fragmentary signals, the news obtained was consistent with Baisu's analysis. Gradually, from those messages, the three found some information about the nearest shelter. About 100 kilometers to the north, you will enter the next city, and there is a shelter near this city that can accommodate hundreds of thousands of people. It is now on the right track. It's just that the 20-kilometer periphery of this shelter has been precisely bombed. Only by passing through this ruin can you enter the shelter. The bombing of the periphery should be to clear out a lifeless safety isolation zone to serve as a buffer for the shelter. A high wall should be built there soon. Lin Qi's judgment was very accurate. On the third day after the bombing, the shelter began to organize survivors and participate in the construction of fortifications. During the 3 months of the cold winter, a simple wall was built to prevent the crisis of spring recovery. It's better not to go to this shelter. Unknowingly, I have arrived at the outskirts of the city. The buildings on both sides of the provincial road are still well preserved. Such villages and towns are generally concentrated near the provincial roads. The walled buildings with independent courtyards can maximize the survival rate of the people inside before the doomsday. Unlike the centralized isolation in the city, most of the towns and villages are implemented in home isolation. Therefore, the aerial cleaning plan completely avoided the village and town buildings, and only bombed the nearby lakes and mountains. As soon as the armored vehicle drove into the town, the roar of the engine attracted the zombies hiding nearby. Most of these zombies are infected, with swollen muscles and faint signs of mutation, and their speed is much more agile than ordinary zombies. Several zombies were lying on the car, screaming and slapping the thick steel plates. Some of them were blocking the front of the car. However, when Lin Qi stepped on the accelerator, they were directly rolled under the car. After being crushed, the sound of broken bones could be heard. Help! Come and save us! Suddenly, a cry for help came from a nearby roof. Looking at the source of the sound, two figures were shouting with their arms raised on the roof of the street. They saw the federal armored vehicle and thought that the federal army had come, but they didn't dare to go out because there were zombies outside, so they could only climb onto the roof. After the first one, there was the second one. Some people even held children and supported the elderly. We can't take them. Baisu noticed that the speed of the car slowed down and reminded Lin Qi. She was afraid that Lin Qi would stop. In this case, It would be difficult to leave as long as he stopped. I know, but since we are passing by, let's help as much as we can. Lin Qi shifted down the gear, adjusted the seat back a little, and turned his head to ask Bai Su. Can you drive? Bai Su nodded, not knowing what Lin Qi meant. Okay, you drive, let me go to the back. Lin Qi grabbed Bai Su's arm, lifted her up with a strong pull, and placed her on his thighs. Bai Su screamed, her body tensed subconsciously, but when she sat in Lin Qi's arms, she relaxed instantly. Your reaction is a bit big. Just now, Lin Qi had a strange feeling, but he couldn't think of why for a while. You should have said hello in advance, I wasn't ready. Bai Su complained, and quickly moved her butt to let Lin Qi move to the back. Such a close contact, and in front of his students, as a teacher, don't want to save face? When Lin Qi moved to the back, he opened the roof of the car and stood up with a rifle. Bang! Bang! Lin Qi deliberately removed the silencer and killed the 3 zombies next to the car with 3 shots. The sound of the gun was transmitted from a very long distance. It's a rare opportunity, I just want to practice my shooting skills. Since mastering the gun skills, Lin Qi has never had the opportunity to use them. First, bullets are precious, and second, good things are kept at the critical moment. But the situation is different now. Facing such a gathering of zombies, it is more cost-effective to use guns than arrows. Guns are the violent aesthetics that every man yearns for. After trying to fire 2 shots, Lin Qi only had those living targets in his eyes. Slow down a little, let the zombies behind catch up. Lin Qi only shot those who fell behind. Unknowingly, there was a team of zombies following behind the armored vehicle, extending nearly 100 meters away. Are you going to lure out all the zombies near this street and kill them all? Bai Su suddenly realized that they could not help so many unarmed survivors, but they could still kill as many zombies as possible through other methods to let these survivors face less crisis. How can we kill them all? Bullets should be used at critical moments. The rest depends on their luck. Lin Qi stopped decisively after seeing the progress of the advanced conditions after completing 50 zombies. Hey, there are still a few mutant zombies. Mutated zombies are also mutant creatures, but they don't have the kind of gene crystals in their brains. Apart from losing human rationality, they are almost killing beasts. The ones running in the front at this moment are zombies that have mutated characteristics. The claws waving while running emit a bloody light. Bang! A shot hit the zombie's forehead, lifting a piece of skull, and sticky brains spurted out. This level of mutant zombies is still unable to compete with hot weapons. As long as the head is hit, it can still be killed in one shot. 1. Bang 2. The people on the roof saw that the armored vehicle had begun to clear the zombies, and the desire to survive surged in their hearts. At this time, they dared not shout for help, for fear of attracting those zombies. But gradually, the car was getting farther and farther away until it disappeared at the end of the field of vision. They should have led all the zombies away, and they will definitely come back to save us. A woman curled up on the roof comforted herself. Since the doomsday, they have been self-isolating at home. Fortunately, most people have the habit of storing food. Even after a month, no one has starved to death. But the bombing a few days ago completely defeated the psychological endurance of these ordinary people. As the 5th mutant zombie was killed, Lin Qi decisively put away his gun. At this moment, the firearm skills have reached the advanced requirements, and the data of the firearm skills appeared in front of him at the right time. Basic firearms use has been advanced. Firearms proficiency. Accuracy. You are proficient in using various firearms, and bullets will always hit the most vulnerable part of the target's body. Current skills can be advanced. Advanced requirements. 1. Use firearms to kill 500 zombies. 2. Use firearms to kill 50 mutant creatures. 3. Consume 20 gene crystals. Seeing the advanced requirements of firearms, Lin Qi decisively put it aside and did not intend to pay attention to it in the short term. Tuan, hand me the bow and arrow. Seeing a row of zombies still chasing behind the car, Lin Qi signaled Tuan to hand over the bow and arrow. He drew the bow and put the arrow on it, rotating the arrow tail 90 degrees, and an illusory airflow condensed on the arrow. Swoosh! The arrow flew out, and the rotating carbon arrow collapsed instantly, but the condensed cyclone continued to expand until it turned into a tornado, sweeping the entire street. Chapter 59 Primary Mechanical Modification. At dusk, the armored vehicle drove into a repair shop on the roadside. Lin Qi got out of the car, opened the gate of the repair shop, and directed the armored vehicle to enter. Judging from the snow that had not yet melted at the door, this repair shop had been closed for at least 3 months. You two wait in the car, I'll go check it out. Although there may not be many people here, routine inspections are still necessary. Lin Qi drew out his long knife and was on guard, slowly searching inside. The roadside repair shop was very messy. There were several cars waiting to be repaired parked in the yard. The discarded parts piled up in the corner were almost rusted. When the door of the repair shed was opened, a smell of engine oil hit him in the face. In this kind of place, even zombies and mutants would not want to stay for long. After checking the accommodation area and warehouse in the backyard, inside and out, and confirming that there was no danger, Lin Qi came out and waved to the two to drive the car into the repair shed. Let's stay here for the night tonight and continue our journey tomorrow. There were too many supplies piled up in the car, and the three of them couldn't lie down at all. It must be very uncomfortable to sit all night. Then I'll go make the bed, and Tuanchuan will prepare dinner. We can just eat whatever we can. Bai Su had a clear division of labor. Lin Qi would definitely help with the dinner preparation, so Tuanchuan wouldn't be too tired. The three of them quickly divided the tasks and got busy. After a while, Bai Su walked out of the accommodation and helped Tuanchuan prepare the food, leaving Lin Qi completely idle. With nothing to do, Lin Qi wandered around the repair shed out of boredom. When he saw strange parts, he would get close to study them. I should be able to remove some parts and put them on the armored vehicle, and install a water tank on it. When the idea came to mind, Lin Qi began to think about it. First, he found tools and prepared to make a shelf of appropriate size. As for the water tank, one removed from another car would be enough. Just when he had prepared the materials and was about to use the tools to make it, an illusory picture appeared in front of him again. Use tools to activate skills, primary mechanical modification, upgradable 1, make a rooftop water tank 2, disassemble a car 3, stay in a repair shop for 10 days. Unlike combat skills, this special skill seems to have a higher cost effectiveness. The moment he got the prompt, Lin Qi felt as if a lot of knowledge about mechanical repair was stuffed into his mind. Moreover, it never stopped. It won't take 10 days. Thinking of the third advanced requirement, Lin Qi's scalp tingled for a while. This feeling was like strengthening his own brain, outputting all the time, and it was rising. He took out a cigarette, lit it, and took a deep breath. The swelling feeling slowly dissipated a little. At this time, Lin Qi couldn't concentrate at all. The picture of mechanical maintenance and modification kept appearing in his mind. Honey, it's time to eat. Tuan leaned out of the kitchen and shouted, and came out with 2 bowls of noodles. Come on, put it here. Lin Qi cleaned up the debris on the table, found 3 chairs by the way, and went back and forth to the kitchen twice, and the things were ready. Fragrant egg noodles, eat a big bowl. Tuan pushed the big bowl in front of Lin Qi and handed over the chopsticks. It was a very happy thing to have hot noodles in the doomsday. Bai Su said nothing. She was not so optimistic. She was always thinking about something. I'm afraid we will have to stay here for about 10 days. Lin Qi took 2 bites and felt much better in his stomach, so he told the 2 of them about his plan. The skill of mechanical maintenance is a hard one and must be completed as soon as possible, otherwise I don't know where I can find a suitable repair shop next time. Stay here for 10 days? Is there anything you want to do? Are you going to save the people you met during the day? Bai Su was a little surprised and even put down her chopsticks, trying to persuade Lin Qi. If they were delayed on such things, they would never be able to reach the north in their lifetime. There would be so many survivors waiting for them to save on the road. It's not because of those survivors. I think our car has some problems. This is a repair shop. Let's stop and check it before continuing on our way. Lin Qi had already found an excuse. Although he didn't have much knowledge about repairs now, as time went by, he would learn more and more, and he would eventually form a complete theory. Well, I just need time to decompose that second-order gene crystal. You have opened the gene lock and can already take second-order gene crystals. After opening the gene lock, although taking ordinary gene crystals has no effect, taking second-order gene crystals has a very significant improvement, and you can take 23 crystals before reaching the barrier limit. Taking the opportunity of eating, Bai Su told the 2 of them about this, but she was not very clear about how to remove the second limit. After all, The Federation's intensification experiment at that time only cultivated a few third-order mutant beasts, which could not meet the improvement of the soldiers. Well, I'll let Tuan help you. Let me know when it's decomposed. Lin Qi nodded, ate all the noodles in the bowl, stood up and moved around. A simple exercise after a meal helps digestion, and the information constantly transmitted in the brain must be calmed down and fully comprehended. Therefore, Lin Qi found a broken car, opened the door, put down the seat, lay down, and closed his eyes to meditate. The model of the car slowly formed in his mind, and then disassembled it piece by piece. Each part automatically merged with its own function until it was finally disassembled into pieces. Isn't this the car I'm sitting in? Lin Qi suddenly opened his eyes and looked at the equipment in the car again. A sense of familiarity came to his mind. Originally, he knew only a little about cars, but now he knew everything in the car clearly, and he could name any part, and he knew how to completely disassemble it. But disassembling an ordinary car was of no use at all, so Lin Qi got out of the car again and walked towards the armored vehicle. Sitting in the armored vehicle, Lin Qi took a deep breath and slowly closed his eyes. The next second, the data of the entire car appeared in his mind again. The car body was disassembled bit by bit, and at the same time, the detailed data of each part was remembered in his mind, and the role of the combination was also clear at a glance. But armored vehicles are much more complicated than ordinary cars, and there are countless times more precision parts. There are even some hidden functions that Lin Qi didn't know before. This time lasted for a long time, until late at night, Tuan came to call Lin Qi to go back to sleep. "Husband, why are you still in the car? Go back and rest." Tuan woke Lin Qi up with a distressed look on her face. She had never seen Lin Qi so tired. "What time is it?" Lin Qi's mind was always busy, so he completely forgot the time. He woke up in a trance, rubbed his eyes, and got out of the car. "It's 12 o'clock. It gets dark early in winter. It was just after 8 o'clock when I finished eating just now. I didn't expect that 4 hours would pass in such a short time. I prepared some water for you, take a shower and go to bed." It was a little dark in the repair shed, but there was still some light in the house behind. The two did not dare to connect the circuit for fear of attracting the attention of nearby survivors, so they only lit the dim oil lamp. After Lin Qi finished washing up, he came to the room, looked at the big bunk bed, and subconsciously looked for his own bed. "The teacher said that it's not safe at night, so we can just sleep together." Tuan's face was slightly red. After all, it was a little hard for a man and two women to accept it. But Bai Su had already been lying in the corner, flipping through an engine maintenance manual in her hand, and she didn't know if she could see the words on it clearly. Chapter 60, Second-Order Genetic Fluid. "Then let's sleep like this." Lin Qi said he had no objection. As long as he was not embarrassed, others would be embarrassed. The 1.8-meter-long bed seemed a bit crowded after 3 people lay on it. Tuan lay in the middle, and it was difficult for him to turn over. For a while, the two of them stared at each other, and no one took the initiative to speak. Lin Qi's brain was already under load, so he didn't care about the little thoughts of the two. The first time he lay on the bed, he closed his eyes and digested what he had learned today. After a long time, Tuan turned over and secretly looked at the person next to him. When he saw Lin Qi's breathing was smooth and he closed his eyes as if he had slept for a long time, a trace of surprise appeared on his face. Then he closed his eyes and just hugged Lin Qi's arm silently. Seeing the two people fall asleep, Bai Su showed a trace of disappointment in her eyes, put down the instruction manual in her hand, and closed her eyes. It was the first time that 3 people slept in the same bed, and no one slept well. Although Lin Qi was in a sleeping state, his mind was very active, and he was constantly receiving knowledge about mechanical transformation. Tuan waited for most of the night, but Lin Qi didn't make any move. He felt a little disappointed and fell asleep unconsciously. Bai Su slept the latest. She always felt that something would happen, and she was still looking forward to it. But in the second half of the night, the two still didn't make any moves, not even the slightest contact, which made her a little bored. It was bright, the oil lamp had been extinguished, and a ray of light shone through the window on Lin Qi's face. At this moment, the assembly of the armored vehicle was finally completed in his mind. Lin Qi just relaxed and opened his eyes. "It's dawn." He sighed in a daze, looked down, and saw Tuan curled up in his arms, and his left hand fell into a softball. My hand involuntarily ran to the most comfortable position again. Lin Qi couldn't help but joke, and suddenly realized that something was wrong. His right hand was also holding a soft thing, although it was far less big than Tuanchuan. He subconsciously pinched it hard, and then reacted, so he slowly pulled his hand back. Teacher Bai is also quite interesting. The deadlock lasted until Tuanchuan woke up. The slightly grumpy girl stretched and kissed Lin Qi hard before sitting up. Belatedly realizing that her teacher was by her side, Tuanchuan prepared to get up carefully. "You woke up so early." Lin Qi pretended to have just woken up, sat up quickly, and put on his coat. However, Bai Su, who was sitting inside, did not move. "Shh, the teacher is still sleeping, let's be quiet." Tuanchuan reminded quietly and put on her clothes lightly. After the two left the room, Bai Su slowly opened her eyes, stared at the ceiling for a long time, and then reached out to rub the place that was pinched by Lin Qi. In fact, she was awakened the moment Lin Qi's hand reached in, but she did not stop it. Instead, she endured it until dawn, and acted as if nothing had happened. Breakfast was simple. Tuanchuan made a glass of milk for Lin Qi. After drinking it, Lin Qi sat in the armored vehicle again and began to receive the knowledge transmitted in his mind. Bai Su was in a relatively clean room with Tuanchuan, sorting out the tools for crystal decomposition. The second-order gene crystal was very rare during this period, and this one was extremely precious. As long as Lin Qi could take it smoothly, the degree of gene awakening would be greatly improved, and his strength would naturally be stronger than it is now. 2 hours later, Lin Qi began to try to complete the first requirement of the mechanical transformation advancement. Make a roof water tank. There were several trucks in the yard. Lin Qi found a relatively new one, disassembled the water tank, and then took the tools to prepare to make a rack to install on the armored vehicle. As soon as this idea came up, the best solution for installing the water tank automatically emerged in his mind, and all the steps were fully presented. Connecting the energy device on the armored vehicle to the tool, Lin Qi began to operate it. Welding the bracket, drilling holes and drilling threads, it only took an hour to complete the installation of the water tank. Lin Qi felt that he was full of energy and began to try the second advanced requirement. Disassemble a car. There were several cars in the repair shed. Lin Qi chose an SUV. After sitting inside and understanding the structure of the car, he began to try to dismantle it. Without using any tools, he only relied on his own hands and violently dismantled it. He soon dismantled the overall outline of the car and placed it piece by piece next to it. The two people who heard the sound and saw the scene were stunned. "Husband, why are you dismantling this car?" It was the first time to dismantle a car. Lin Qi was not skilled at it, and he was covered in oil. Tuanchuan didn't dare to come forward. The engine that was hissing and oozing oil was just like when she was in heat. "I'm learning to repair cars. Otherwise, what if our car breaks down in the future and we don't know how to repair it?" Hearing Lin Qi's explanation, even Bai Su didn't believe it. Even if you have learned to repair cars before, armored vehicles are military vehicles of the Federation after all. They are different from civilian vehicles. Even the old masters dare not say that they can repair them. Moreover, armored vehicles are not easy to break down. It is enough to just change the tires. Bai Su was right. If ordinary cars are driven normally, they only need to be maintained every year. They are not easy to break down. Thinking too much is also a matter of gain and loss. But she had no idea how complicated the knowledge Lin Qi had received now was. Has the second-level gene fluid been decomposed? Lin Qi changed a small wrench and began to disassemble the car engine, asking distractedly. Lin Qi was also very much looking forward to the second-level gene fluid. It is already decomposing. The second-level gene crystals are different from the previous ones. It takes a longer time to decompose. Gene crystals can be taken directly, but the effect on genes is mainly the gene fluid contained in them. Decomposing them is more conducive to absorption. Well, wait until it is decomposed and give it to me to try. As a combat member, Lin Qi would naturally be the first to enjoy this achievement, and neither of them would have any objections. Taking advantage of this gap, Tuan went to prepare lunch, and everyone was reasonably busy. Until the evening, Lin Qi finally dismantled the car into pieces, and placed the parts neatly in the open space of the car repair shed. There are so many places where civilian cars can be improved. Just by dismantling them once, I found a lot of deficiencies. Let alone the power of the engine, most of the parts are not up to standard. In Lin Qi's opinion, if all the standard parts are replaced, the performance will definitely be improved several times. In his thirst for knowledge, Lin Qi looked at the armored vehicle next to him, and the desire to dismantle it surged in his heart. This is the second-level gene fluid. In the evening, Bai Su held a test tube with some red liquid in it. In the dim light, it emitted a faint red light, giving people an inexplicable attraction. Chapter 61, Transformation of Armored Vehicles. The first second-order gene crystal was picked up by chance, which gave people a feeling of not much achievement. Looking at the red liquid in the test tube, Lin Qi swallowed it without hesitation. As soon as the warm energy entered his throat, it turned into a hot current and spread throughout his body, making Lin Qi couldn't help but relax. But the next second, a feeling of dryness and heat continuously hit all parts of his body, which inevitably made all parts of his body excited. "Husband, why is your face so red? Will there be any problem?" Tuan looked at Lin Qi's reaction nervously. When taking the first-order gene crystal, there was no such big change. This is a normal reaction of energy entering the body. Absorbing the second-order gene liquid will thoroughly stimulate the hidden genetic power in the body, which is equivalent to opening the state of the gene lock. Bai Su explained on the side. She had read some experimental materials of the Federation and had some understanding of this aspect. Just prepare some cold water for him to cool down. There was a water reservoir in the repair shop. After connecting to the power supply, the water supply system was ready for use. Lin Qi didn't feel the cold at all. He took off his clothes, removed the head of the car washing water gun and hung it high up, and used the cold water to wash his body. Bai Su turned around with a blushing face. Just a glance just now made her jump with fear, and her body couldn't help but feel a little soft. Tuan, find me a bottle of shampoo and shower gel, I just want to take a bath." The cold water cooled down, and Lin Qi felt better. At this moment, the cold water poured on his body actually emitted smoke, which showed how strong the heat transmitted from his body was. "Husband, I put clean clothes next to you, you must be careful not to catch a cold." Tuan's eyes were salivating, but the cold water made her dare not get close, so she could only return to the room with a face full of resentment. Feeling that his body temperature had dropped a little, Lin Qi turned off the water and changed into clean clothes. "This second-order gene fluid is really extraordinary. It actually doubled my physique." Without testing, Lin Qi had a rough idea in his mind. At this moment, he came to the front of a small car, grabbed the front of the car with one hand, and lifted it up directly. The growth of physique brings all-round improvement, not only strength, but also speed and cell strength, and the effect of the gene fluid has not completely disappeared. Such a strong improvement is all because Lin Qi took the second-order gene fluid for the first time. If he takes it again, the bonus may only be a maximum of 20%. The body is full of strength, and even the mind is much clearer. Lin Qi is not sleepy at all. He took the wrench and walked towards the armored vehicle. At night, there was a clanging sound in the repair shed. Bai Su and Tuan came out several times to call Lin Qi to sleep, but they failed. The two could only stay alone in the empty room. Until dawn, Lin Qi looked at the parts on the ground and felt a great sense of satisfaction. After all, disassembling in the mind is different from reality. Only by doing it yourself can you understand the performance and function of each part. At this moment, this armored vehicle no longer has any secrets in Lin Qi's eyes. Next, let's see if we can add some modifications to the armored vehicle. There are still 8 days, enough for Lin Qi to complete his idea. The space of the armored vehicle is not small, but after loading a large amount of supplies, the space for activities inside is much narrower. Lin Qi's idea is to reinforce the two sides of the vehicle body with external devices for carrying supplies, which are light and practical. As for the internal power system, Lin Qi also reorganized it, taking the energy device as the core, replacing the original power system, and adding some entertainment facilities. 3 days later, as the last steel plate closed, a brand new armored vehicle appeared in the repair shed. The new armored vehicle is 1/3 larger than the previous one. The original camouflage paint was changed by Lin Qi to a rusty battle-damaged version. In addition to the internal space, there are small spaces for placing supplies on both sides, and the water tank installed on the roof can provide water for daily use. The front part of the car is welded with a triangular open-circuit corner, so it can be easily pushed away when encountering obstacles blocking the road. The interior space was also reorganized by Lin Qi. The original position of the computer was expanded into a simple small bed for temporary rest, and the computer was installed behind the seat. "Come and have a look." Lin Qi called Tuan and Bai Su to let them feel the armored vehicle after his modification. When they entered, they first felt that it was not as cold as before, and the extra bed surprised them. After all, sitting in the car for a long time is also a burden on the body. Being able to lie down when tired can make both the body and mind happy. Husband, did you install a central control system? The dashboard on the original armored vehicle was a simple one, without any fancy things, and there was also a monitoring screen, but Lin Qi still installed a central control screen, so that he could watch movies, listen to music, etc. when he had nothing to do to relieve boredom. How about it? I'm awesome. Even Bai Su had never heard of a car being modified into this in 3 days. If you don't have enough strength, you can't even move those parts. Have you ever repaired a car before? Bai Su looked at the armored vehicle with a brand new interior, and really didn't understand how a person's ability could be so abnormal. She felt too much shock from Lin Qi. I was an apprentice for 2 years, helping the master. This kind of thing is really hard to explain. After all, no one would believe that a person without any foundation could directly dismantle and install a car, and even add some new things. Your brain should have awakened, and I didn't expect you to be a brain awakener. Genetic evolution is generally prominent, and only the most prominent one will be selected to present, achieving a certain mutation. There has never been such a comprehensive one. Even in the previous experiments, there has been no such unique existence. I am indeed different from ordinary gene awakeners. His biggest golden finger is still those abnormal skills, which is the basis of his survival. Starting the vehicle, the low sound of the engine came, exactly the same as before, without the slightest abnormal sound, which made Lin Qi feel relieved. Although his unique modification technology was completed meticulously, no one could guarantee that there would be no accidents before the actual inspection. After checking the vehicle, the three got out and returned to the room. Lin Qi had been working non-stop for the past few days and had very little sleep, so he didn't talk for long before he fell asleep on the bed. When he woke up again, it was already the next morning. Husband, wake up. Someone is knocking on the door. When entering the repair shop before, there were clear wheel marks left at the door. Anyone who is careful would definitely notice that someone has entered the repair shop. Don't panic, it should be a survivor passing by. Let's go out and take a look. Lin Qi quickly put on his clothes. When he arrived at the door of the repair shop, Bai Su was already holding a pistol, guarding at the door. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelists. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 62, Survivors Seeking Help. Who is it? Stop knocking. Lin Qi signaled Bai Su to put away the gun. There was no need to be nervous in this situation. Brother, we are going to the Central Plains safe zone. Our car had a flat tire here, so we want to find some tools. A man's voice came from outside the door, with a hint of nervousness. Lin Qi looked through the crack in the door and found 3 people outside, all of whom were dusty and wrapped in thick clothes. There were also several cars parked next to them. Then he opened the door and walked out. I remember there is a shelter near the 32nd district. Why did you go so far away? Although these people did not look threatening, and children could be vaguely seen in the cars on the side of the road, Lin Qi still maintained a certain degree of vigilance. We came from the shelter in the 32nd district. It was full, so we had to continue north. The leader was a middle-aged man with a beard. He took out a box of cigarettes from his pocket and stuffed it into Lin Qi's hand, smiling. But this smile showed a sense of helplessness. Lin Qi took the cigarette, opened it and took out one, and threw the rest back. What a damn world, which car of yours has a flat tire? Let me see. The bearded man was a little surprised, but he still walked forward quickly and took Lin Qi to check the car with the flat tire. There were 5 cars in their convoy, with an off-road vehicle leading the way, a minibus in the middle, and 2 box trucks in the back. The minibus had a flat tire. There were a lot of bloodstains and potholes around the car body, and it seemed that they had encountered a lot of trouble on the road. My name is Luo Yongping, and these are my 2 brothers, Su Wen and Feng Hanjin. We have a life and death friendship. Seeing that Lin Qi was willing to help, Luo Yongping's face was full of gratitude. Along the way, they have seen too many human warmth and coldness, and have even been robbed on the road. If they didn't have some strength, I'm afraid they wouldn't have come here. My name is Lin Qi. I'm also going to the north. I came here a few days ago. My car broke down and I stopped here to get it fixed. I feel sorry for you. Lin Qi had already looked at the car with the flat tire and remembered that there was a wheel of the same type in the repair shed, so he motioned them to wait and return to the repair shop. After a while, he came out with a jack and a tire. Here are the tools for you. Change them yourself. You don't need to return them after changing them. It may be useful on the road. Lin Qi didn't mind helping as long as he could. After all, the things were not his. Thank you, Brother Lin. Brother Lin, why don't you come with us? We can have someone to take care of us on the road. Luo Yongping rubbed his hands, his eyes full of gratitude. Good people are hard to find in the doomsday. If he could win them over as teammates, he would avoid intrigue and secret defense. My car hasn't been fixed yet. I have to wait here for a few days. I won't go with you. Lin Qi never took the initiative to get involved in troublesome things. He helped them this time because they were human beings. I see, I'm being rude. Luo Yongping didn't force it, and took out a cigarette again, trying to give it to Lin Qi. This time, Lin Qi didn't refuse, and put it directly into his pocket after taking it. Lin Qi stood at the gate and watched the group of people busying themselves. A few more people got off the cart to help, and a few people were on guard nearby. There are zombies coming over there, you two come with me to deal with them. Luo Yongping saw a few zombies walking out of the alley across the street, and hurriedly called people to enter combat mode. Perhaps because they had encountered this situation many times on the road, the convoy did not panic, only the two people quickly returned to the car and took off their weapons. A strong crossbow, a spear, and a long-handled hammer. The three of them took their weapons, two in front and one behind, and quickly went up. Two crossbow arrows hit the zombies' heads accurately, knocking down two first. After getting close, the spear stabbed fiercely and penetrated through the mouth of a zombie. Luo Yongping held a long-handled hammer and smashed the heads of the remaining zombies one by one. Facing 7 or 8 ordinary virus zombies, the three of them were very comfortable. Sure enough, those who can survive have fighting qualities. These three people are obviously gene awakeners, and their physical fitness is far superior to that of ordinary people, which is the key to daring to face zombies. After a while, the tires were changed, and the truck at the back opened, and a group of survivors got off one by one. The minibus had a flat tire before, and in order to barely make it on the road, some people got off and moved to the truck, but the narrow space must have been very uncomfortable. These people included children of a few years old and reserved women. Under the influence of the doomsday, everyone's face was confused about the future. Uncle, thank you. The little girl of 8 or 9 years old, her face was red and a little reserved, but she still mustered up the courage to express her gratitude. Lin Qi nodded and waved to say hello. The car started slowly, and the children in the car window were still curiously asking the adults why the uncle didn't leave with them. After all the cars left, Bai Su and Tuan Tuan walked out of the yard. Don't look so nervous. There are not so many bad guys. They are just ordinary people struggling to survive in the doomsday. From the beginning, Luo Yongping's attitude gave people the impression of a struggling little man at the bottom. This is a habit of doing things that cannot be changed for a while, even if his own abilities have changed. Neither of them responded, but just looked at the direction where the convoy left, thinking. After closing the door of the repair shop again, Lin Qi slept and felt much better, but the knowledge about mechanics kept emerging in his mind. Therefore, the two of them felt that they were worried, and the atmosphere was inevitably a little heavy. During this period, Lin Qi took another gene crystal, pushing the tolerance limit of the first stage to 15. In a blink of an eye, the 10th day passed, and several waves of survivors passed by outside, but they did not disturb them. Early in the morning, Lin Qi checked it in detail, and after breakfast, he started the car and came to the yard. Get ready to go. The 10-day stay was a great harvest for Lin Qi. Not only did he digest the power brought by the gene crystal, but his mind became clearer as he accepted the continuous transmission of knowledge. This change can be said to be a manifestation of the improvement of mental power, but there has not yet been a qualitative change. The biggest gain is the advancement of mechanical transformation skills. Primary mechanical transformation has been advanced mechanical transformation, mechanical affinity, you can understand the operating principles of most machines, precision transformation, You can always find the most suitable transformation method. Current skills can be advanced. Advanced requirements. 1. Transform the armored vehicle into a mobile fortress. 2. Make a third-order energy crystal core. 3. Consume 20 second-order gene crystals. Another advanced skill that cannot be completed in a short time. Seeing these 3 advanced requirements, Lin Qi lost interest for a while. I received a notice today that I will be recommended on Samjiang. The author is a big loser. I didn't expect to gain experience while struggling. It's all thanks to your support. Without you, there would be no recommendation. Please be more tolerant and read more. Chapter 63: The Temptation of Modified Cars. The armored vehicle drove onto the road. The comfort of the leather seats did not make the 3 of them feel much bumpy. In addition, the music was turned on, accompanied by the rhythm, and the mood was inexplicably relieved. But Tuanxuan was always depressed. She originally thought that she would have a chance to be alone with Lin Qi after staying in the repair shop for a few days, but for 10 days in a row, they didn't even kiss. So when she looked at her teacher, she couldn't help but feel a little resentful. Originally, she set off today, thinking that when she found a place to stay at night, she would no longer share a room with teacher Bai, but she never expected that her period would come. So she felt even more depressed. The cheerful music couldn't arouse her interest. What's wrong with Tuanxuan? Lin Qi noticed Tuanxuan's depression and asked with concern. It's okay, my stomach is a little uncomfortable. Tuanxuan rubbed her stomach, and the whole person huddled in the seat, with her chin just supported by her squeezed breasts, and trembling when she spoke. If you feel uncomfortable in your stomach, drink hot water. There's a water heater installed in the back. Let teacher Bai help you get a cup. Lin Qi had no choice about this. He couldn't let Tuanxuan accept the pregnancy now. If she didn't have her period for a year, it would be even more uncomfortable. Bai Su took a cup of hot water and handed it to Tuanxuan, and then buried her head in collecting information through satellite signals. The armored vehicle with a high chassis didn't need to pay attention to the road conditions. The speed was always very fast. It didn't take long for it to overtake 2 cars. When the survivors saw such a special car, they stopped their cars on the side of the road and deliberately made way. Beep, beep. Lin Qi honked the horn twice and quickly passed. There were no buildings on this section of road. There were wheat fields on both sides. Usually, you couldn't even see people, let alone zombies. In addition, a large number of animals were not active in winter, so there was no danger at all. After the wheat field, there was a bombed area. The woods on both sides were all burned, and the land was charred black. It seems that most of the insects and eggs hiding in it for the winter were burned to ashes. The new satellite map has been loaded. Bai Su tapped the keyboard, and a picture gradually appeared on the computer screen. After gradually zooming in, it finally appeared clearly. By zooming in frame by frame, they finally located the area where they were. Plan the most suitable route for me and find a place to rest tonight. Although you can stop and rest in the wild, it is not as comfortable as a room, and Lin Qi has to take some time to kill mutant beasts and obtain resources. Okay, about 10 kilometers ahead, there's a town, we can stop there. Seeing that it was already noon, the 3 of them prepared to find a place to rest and prepare food. After half an hour, they crossed a road affected by the explosion and finally arrived near the town. There are a lot of people here. There were several cars parked in the streets of the town, including a very eye-catching armored vehicle. However, Lin Qi's armored vehicle has changed its appearance. Even if it is recognized, it can be said to be a modified civilian version. Brother, look, that car is so cool. Hearing the roar of the armored vehicle, the survivors stationed in the town came out and looked at the special car curiously. The rescue team on the armored vehicle also noticed the situation and sent someone to maintain the situation. There's a spot here, stop here. The fully armed soldier waved his hand, signaling Lin Qi to drive the car to the door of a shop on the street. Honey, there are federal soldiers. Tuan looked nervous. After all, they stole the car and there were 2 guns in the car. Don't panic. Lin Qi stopped the car and turned off the engine, and took the initiative to get out of the car and walked forward. This squad leader, you have worked hard. The federal soldier's face was obviously a little surprised. During this period of time, they went out to perform missions and met countless survivors. There were all kinds of names for them, and some even called them military masters. Lin Qi's call of squad leader made him feel particularly cordial. You have been a soldier too. He let down his guard, but still looked carefully at the strange car in front of him. The car still had some shadows of armored vehicles, but the modification was so powerful that he couldn't judge for a while. I served as a conscript for a few years before I came back to open a car repair shop. This car is a civilian version of the armored vehicle that I modified myself. Modifying a car is illegal, but in the current situation, no one will care as long as you don't kill people on the street. No wonder it looks familiar to me. The car is well modified. The soldier gave a thumbs up, his eyes full of envy, and then pointed to the shop next to the parking lot. If you want to rest here today, you can requisition this shop first. It's convenient to watch the car parked at the door. All the people in this town have been relocated. In the cold winter, these federal soldiers have not rested for a day. Not only did they repair the damaged roads, but they also continuously rescued the survivors in the towns and moved towards the Central Plains safety zone. Don't worry, we promise to abide by the rules. There may be people in the town who are not kind. Even if they have special ideas about this special armored vehicle, they certainly dare not show it at this time. After the federal soldier left, Lin Qi let Tuan and Bai Su get out of the car, locked the car door, and opened the door of the shop next to it. This is a bathroom store. The first floor is the storefront and the second floor is the sleeping place. The restaurants, tobacco shops and the like in the town have long been occupied by the survivors. Even if there are good things, they have been looted by passers-by. The three of them were noticed by everyone the moment they arrived in the town, especially the domineering armored vehicle, which is almost the most dazzling existence in the doomsday. At this moment, there were several people in the town pretending to be idle, slowly approaching, checking around, and then slowly going back to report. Boss, we have investigated clearly. There is a man and two women, and they are all beauties. They did not bring weapons into the store. The younger brother who was investigating showed a trace of excitement on his face. After the doomsday, it is rare to see beautiful women. Even if there are, they are exclusively enjoyed by some powerful people. The rest of them are not deliberately making themselves ugly, which is not eye-catching at all. But these two are different. They are the type that you can't forget at first sight. Really didn't bring weapons? Damn, how come this good thing happened to me? The man called the boss is a man in leather clothes. He looks less than 40 years old and is in his prime. At the same time, another group of people also got the news. After a brief thought, the two groups walked out of their residences at the same time and headed towards the armored vehicle. The two had met each other in the town. They each had some power. Because of the presence of federal soldiers, there had been no friction. But when they arrived in front of the armored vehicle, both sides understood what the other meant. Brother, I was the first to see this place. Please give me some face. The leather jacket man had a gloomy face. The other party, like him, also brought 4 people. It was obviously not easy to mess with, but how could such a big cake be handed over to others? I'm afraid you can't afford my face, Wang Zhen. Get out of here, or I'll take care of you too. Wang Zhen lifted the corner of his clothes, revealing a pistol, and his tone was full of deterrence. It's just a broken gun. It seems that everyone has it. You can't scare me with this. Before the two sides found the real owner, they confronted each other with swords drawn. Chapter 64, A slap in the face can also activate skills. What are you guys doing? The soldier standing guard on the armored vehicle of the federal team in the distance saw a group of people gathered together and shouted a warning. They also noticed Lin Qi's armored vehicle, and the soldier who went to inquire about it also explained the situation of the owner of the car after returning. Subconsciously, he became closer to the owner who had been a soldier. Sir, we came to borrow something. Wang Zhen subconsciously explained, and his momentum was unknowingly weakened by half. Don't make trouble here, go back quickly. The soldier raised his gun and warned again, without a trace of command in his words. Both sides trembled with fear, and they dared not stay in this place. They could only glare at each other fiercely and turn around and leave quickly. If they delayed any longer, they would definitely believe that the soldier dared to shoot them. After all, the world now is different from before. Complain? Wait until you can find a department to complain to. Besides, people are fighting outside and have the power of life and death. It is common for ordinary people to be mistaken for zombies and killed by mistake. Lin Qi, who was on the second floor, naturally saw this scene, and at the same time remembered the location where the two parties left. It seems that her car is still a bit ostentatious. Bai Su was a little worried. If this kind of thing is not handled well, there will definitely be trouble. Enjoying it will definitely bring trouble. Just solve it. I won't leave today, otherwise they will definitely follow me after I leave, which will be more troublesome. There is only one bedroom on the second floor, which means that the three of them will have to squeeze into one bed at night, which makes Tuan Tuan a little unhappy. But thinking about his own state, even if he wants to fight bloody battles, Lin Qi will not agree. He can only prepare food and make it more abundant. The small energy battery in the car can provide electricity for the store, so that most of the electrical appliances in the store can operate normally. With the cooperation of the two, they prepared today's food in less than an hour. Help me boil some hot water after dinner, I want to take a shower. Lin Qi took out the dagger and put it aside. Taking this opportunity, he can just brush up the advanced conditions of the dagger. You are going to solve the trouble. Tuan Tuan has not reacted yet, but Bai Su noticed Lin Qi's thoughts. Yet, they would never think that I would dare to go there in broad daylight, right? All along, everyone subconsciously thought that night was the best time to commit murder. But at night, those people would definitely sneak here, unless the federal soldiers were stationed near the armored vehicles. Lin Qi didn't want to be disturbed when he slept at night, so he took a hot bath after finishing his meal and solving the problem. I believe in your strength, be careful. Bai Su gave a thumbs up. Lin Qi's behavior was to protect their armored vehicles and to protect them. She had no reason to object. What's more, the purpose of those people was not just to rob the armored vehicle. Relatively speaking, women were also a kind of material. Thinking of this, she felt a little sad. After dinner, Lin Qi deliberately changed his clothes, put the dagger in his waist, and left the store from the back door. After a slight change of appearance, no one could recognize him. After all, everyone was a stranger. The only one who had seen Lin Qi up close was the soldier who went to rest. Lin Qi first felt the foothold of the force in the distance. They had 3 cars and more than 10 people. It was noon at this moment, and everyone was eating in the house. They didn't worry that anyone would dare to touch their supplies. Moreover, they occupied a tobacco and liquor store. There was enough alcohol and a lot of cigarettes in the store. At this moment, the smoke was lingering inside, and everyone was drunk. Under this pressure that could endanger their lives at any time, no one wanted to miss such a chance to relax. The door was not closed, so it was convenient to see the cars parked outside, which saved Lin Qi the trouble of breaking into the door. Brothers, I'm not bragging. It's a pity that you didn't go to see it today. The 2 women are really beautiful, like big stars. My eyes were straight at that time. At the wine table, a man drank a glass of wine and started to brag for the nth time. Although his companions were a little annoyed, they were still happy to listen to his heart-wrenching words. Did the boss say that we'll kill that guy tonight? The 2 girls will be ours. When the time comes, the boss will eat meat and we can drink some soup, right? The person who spoke was very loud, and even those sitting at the table upstairs could hear clearly. The purpose of this was obviously to let the boss know the wishes of the younger brothers. Otherwise, the younger brothers would not want to eat alone. Lin Qi just came to the door and heard such discussions. He sentenced these people to death in his heart. So he walked in and closed the door. Why are you closing the door? Open it and get some fresh air. The room was dark, and it was already filled with smoke, making it even harder to see. He only felt a flash in front of his eyes, and the figure at the door disappeared. At the same time, he felt a chill on his neck, and his consciousness flew away instantly, and the world was spinning. Lin Qi turned around to avoid the splashing blood, turned his body, and the dagger slashed across the neck of another person, but he silently withdrew most of the force and then turned over. A flash of white light passed by. In the dim environment, it did not affect him at all, and with the gene lock turned on, he only judged the best route for the dagger in a short time. When he landed at the stairs with the help of force, he walked directly upstairs. The group of people behind him covered their necks, and blood spurted out from their fingers. The head of the first person to die just fell on the table. Eyes wide open. The brief silence downstairs did not make the people upstairs realize that something was wrong. Compared with the excitement downstairs, the people upstairs were just a little restrained. Brother Wang, let's drink some wine, so don't deduct it. The woman held in Wang Zhen's arms looked uncomfortable. It was a waste of such a strong physique, but she was a silver like wax spearhead, and could only play hand skills. What, do you think my skills are not good? If there were no important things to do tonight, I would have made you beg for mercy long ago. Wang Zhen twisted it hard, then pulled his hand out, stuffed it into the woman's mouth, and let her lick it clean. Then he turned around, raised his glass with a smile, and clinked it with the two people sitting next to him. Tonight, in addition to getting the car over, we also have to take care of the two women, and at the same time we have to be on guard against that bastard Zhang Shang. Let the people below drink less to avoid confusion later. Drinking some white wine in cold weather can warm the body, and alcohol makes people brave, but drinking too much can cause trouble. He had already instructed the subordinates below to control the amount, but once they start drinking, who would listen to him? At this moment, he noticed the silence below, and suddenly realized that something was wrong. Why are those bastards so quiet? The door was pushed open, and Wang Zhen subconsciously pushed the woman in his arms away and wanted to take out the pistol from his waist. But as soon as he started, he felt a pain in his neck, and a force directly took him away. The dagger completely sank into his neck, cutting off his spine, leaving only his body twitching slightly. The other two were frightened and hurriedly tried to pull out their guns, but facing Lin Qi coming, their hands trembled and pulled several times, but they couldn't pull out the gun. The woman opened her mouth in fear, but before she could make a sound, Lin Qi slapped her, and her face twisted and turned to the back of her head. The remaining two people pulled out their guns, but before they could raise their hands, Lin Qi grabbed their necks. With 2 clicks, their hands went limp. Activate skill, primary big bite. The current skill can be advanced 1, perform 10 big bite on the target 2, use big bite to kill a mutant, can a slap in the face activate a skill. Chapter 65 Bloody Bait. Pulling out the dagger and shaking off the blood, Lin Qi collected the pistols from the 3 people. This should be a police pistol, and it must have come from an illegal place. Lin Qi put all the pistols in his pocket, checked to see if there were any survivors, then opened the window and jumped down. After many twists and turns, he came to the residence of another group of people, but this time it was a bit troublesome. This group of people was obviously stronger than the previous ones. During the meal, there were still people on duty in the car to keep watch. It was very difficult to kill them all without making a sound. However, for Lin Qi, it was not necessary to completely solve the problem. Killing this boss was enough. The man in the leather jacket was in a meeting. Unlike the previous boss who only knew how to play with women, he had a far-reaching plan for his future. Boss, I have a plan to seize his car, kill his people, rob his daughter, and occupy his room. In the office on the 2nd floor, several people gathered together to discuss. The modified armored vehicle was really enviable. Tell me in detail. If this can be done, I will give you a woman. The leather jacket man narrowed his eyes. This promise was not small, but he did not say which woman he would give him. He had another one in his hand that he was tired of playing with, so he would give it to the dog-headed military advisor as a reward. Boss, my plan is this. The dog-headed military advisor was about to speak when the window glass suddenly exploded, and a branch broke through the window and flew straight in. He and the leather jacket man were sitting in a straight line. The branch directly penetrated the leather jacket man's back, broke out of his chest, and flew towards him in a rotation. At this moment, he could not react at all, and could only watch the bloody branch pierce his neck. The room was in chaos, and the remaining few people looked for cover to hide, and took out their pistols and shot out of the window. However, after Lin Qi fired a shot, he quickly disappeared from the spot and had returned to his residence at this moment. After returning to the room and changing clothes, the bath water had just heated up. The gunshots quickly alerted the federal soldiers stationed in the town. 2 of them went to check immediately, but after going upstairs, they were stunned by the situation in front of them. A nearly 2-meter-long branch directly pierced through the 2 people, and blood flowed all over the ground. The chest of the leather jacket boss was even more burst like a blood flower, and his internal organs were splattered everywhere. His group of younger brothers were so scared that their faces turned pale. After all, ordinary people really couldn't accept this kind of death. It was shot from the window. It should be an awakened person who did it. Outside the broken window, another soldier checked and found traces of felling on a tree, which was the source of the branch. It's confirmed that it's not a mutant beast. Lift the alert and deal with the body. Don't let the bloody smell spread. The federal soldiers were unwilling to care about personal grudges. In this situation, their main task was to clear the main traffic routes and guide the survivors to the safe area. After confirming that it was an awakened person seeking revenge, they evacuated directly. However, before they returned to the armored vehicle, screams were heard from another place. The tragic situation of Wang Zhen and his group was also discovered at the same time. The bloody smell made the survivors with a keen sense of smell feel the fear from their genes, which spread rapidly. It's a big trouble. So many people died. This time, even the captain of the federal team was alarmed and looked at the bloodstains all over the room with a solemn expression. "Captain, it should have been done during dinner, but we were in the town and didn't hear any movement at all. The soldiers couldn't move their feet at all. The bloodstains on the ground had already flowed all over the floor. At least it's an awakened person who opened the gene lock. Such people are difficult to deal with. We don't need to make enemies." The captain pondered. The superiors had instructed that if it was not necessary, they should not conflict with the awakened. After all, no one knew how powerful the other party would be after awakening. Set fire to all these bodies, notify the survivors in the town, and leave the town. The team leader immediately ordered. No matter who the target of the awakened killer was, staying here would definitely be more dangerous. Not only should they be on guard against the other party, but they should also be careful of the mutants attracted by the smell of blood. The group quickly withdrew, and before leaving, they threw a firebomb. In an instant, the tragic scene in the house was completely engulfed by the flames. The two soldiers notified everyone on the streets of the town one by one, and even used the loudspeaker on the armored vehicle to shout several times in a row. After all the cars in the town started up and left the town one by one, they began to act. "Captain, the modified car didn't move." The soldier who first dealt with Lin Qi had been paying attention to the armored vehicle. After seeing that everyone had set off, the people on it had not come down yet, and he couldn't help but feel a little worried. Could it be that he was in danger like the two groups of people? "You go and call. If someone dies, requisition his car." The team leader held a glimmer of fantasy in his heart. After the order was issued, he started the armored vehicle to warm up. The soldier ran over quickly, and after shouting a few times, the window upstairs opened, and Lin Qi, who had just finished taking a shower, stuck his head out. "Brother, it's time to go. We're going to evacuate here." Seeing that Lin Qi was fine, he inexplicably relaxed. "Squad leader, you go first. My friend is taking a shower, and will leave soon, and will definitely catch up with you." The soldier looked at Lin Qi, and a trace of envy inexplicably emerged in his eyes. After waving his hand, he quickly returned to the armored vehicle and returned to the team. Bai Su and Tuan Tuan were indeed taking a shower, and Lin Qi had no intention of leaving the town at all. In less than an hour, almost all the survivors in the town had been evacuated, and the armored vehicles were the rear guard, slowly moving forward. There were still some aboriginals in the town, but after a few more cars, these people had seats, and the rest squeezed together, so that no one had to walk on their own legs. I don't know what kind of mutant beasts the smell of blood will attract. Lin Qi sat at the window, observing the situation outside from time to time. After solving those troubles at noon, it could be used as bait to track mutant beasts. In addition, the survivors in the town had already evacuated, so there was nothing to worry about. Bai Su and Tuan Tuan, who had changed their clothes, were also sorting out their guns. They did not relax at all for the upcoming battle. "Actually, you two don't need to help at all. I can handle it alone." Lin Qi looked at the magazines placed beside the two people and felt inexplicably distressed. Every time they used a bullet, one bullet was less. "Hubby, I don't want to be a vase. I can't always let you stand in front of me." Tuan Tuan skillfully installed the magazine, raised his aim, and his movements were smooth and heroic. "I can only help you clean up some ordinary zombies. Those mutants are too fast and hard to hit." Bai Su smiled apologetically. She knew roughly that Lin Qi's strength must be stronger than those awakened ones cultivated in the laboratory at the beginning, so she was not worried. 2 hours after the survivors evacuated the town, a gray shadow finally appeared on the street. "Thank you Wang Nibadaya Okuli for the 5,000 coin reward. Thank you Sandy Bing Dong for the 100 coin reward. Thank you 08 for many rewards." Chapter 66, Second Order Atavistic Mutant Pig. Rabbit? Why is it a rabbit? Lin Qi was full of expectations for the unknown mutant beast, but when he saw the jumping rabbit, he found it hard to accept for a while. "Well, how about eating a rabbit tonight?" The rabbit squatted on the ground, more than half a meter tall, and looked very fat with fur all over. Its scarlet eyes were like rubies. "Rabbits are so cute, how can you eat rabbits?" Tuan Chun pinched her throat, imitating the tone of the internet that asked for a beating. and stuck out her tongue after she finished speaking. "Hey, there's also a chicken, how about you eat chicken tonight?" Lin Qi knew she was joking, so he followed her joke. "Where is the chicken?" Bai Su thought that another mutant creature really appeared, and searched back and forth with a rifle, but there was no shadow of a chicken in her sight. Tuan Chun was the first to react, and punched Lin Qi with her little fist, and a layer of shame appeared on her face. She really had this plan, waiting for Teacher Bai to fall asleep at night, and then secretly eating alone. The quietness of the town did not last long. The burning shops exuded a burnt smell like oil refining, which spread for dozens of kilometers and made a black ribbon appear in the sky. Several large black birds circled in the sky, and every time they passed through the black smoke, they would cry excitedly, "I'm going down, you don't have to do anything yet." The zombies nearby seemed to have been cleaned up by the federal team. Even if the smell of blood was pervasive, it would not attract many people, which saved Lin Qi some bullets. Pulling out a carbon arrow, Lin Qi aimed his bow and shot an arrow. The arrow, which rotated to the extreme, brought a whirlwind and instantly hit the rabbit on the street, nailing it directly to the ground. The movement was very loud, and it instantly attracted the attention of the mutant beasts in the dark. The weak mutant beasts came to the town for the smell of blood and meat, but the powerful mutant beasts came for hunting. As the saying goes, the mantis stalks the cicada, and the oriole is behind. Lin Qi played the role of the hunter behind. A mutant rat couldn't bear it first, poked its head out of the shadows, and crawled over quickly. The bloody smell of the mutant beasts was extremely attractive to this kind of social creatures. In just a short while, several mutant rats appeared. However, a black shadow flashed across the sky the next second, grabbed a fat mutant rat and flew high into the sky. The mutant rats on the ground were frightened by the noise and scattered, but within a dozen seconds, they came out again. The temptation of fresh blood food was simply irresistible to this low-level mutant beast. Anyway, there were so many companions, and they would definitely not be so unlucky to be caught by their natural enemies next. The mutant rats really thought so. As social creatures, if they did not fight for food when faced with it, they would starve to death before being hunted by their natural enemies. The black shadow in the sky circled again, and another black shadow passed by. This time, the prey was more greedy and actually grabbed two mutant rats. Greed made its body pause for a moment, which allowed Lin Qi, who had been looking for an opportunity at the window, to catch it. Swoosh! An alloy arrow shot out of the air, creating a whirlwind that even distorted the surrounding air. The flying beast flapped its wings vigorously, but still failed to avoid the arrow's lock. It was hit hard and fell heavily to the ground. With a loud bang, a deep pit exploded in the ground, and the sky was filled with black feathers that exploded, slowly drifting away like black snow. This crow is much bigger than the previous magpie. The black strange bird that was shot was a huge crow, a legendary bird of death that could bring bad luck. But Lin Qi didn't care whether it was a good omen or not, as long as the gene crystal in his head was not lost. So he turned over and jumped out of the window, landing on the armored vehicle, pulling out a long spear, throwing it at a mutant rat on the ground, nailing it to the ground. Then he took out another long spear, quickly jumped out of the car, and came to the mutant beast's body. He quickly took out the two gene crystals and stuffed them into his pocket. At this moment, Lin Qi had become the common target of all mutant beasts. Another crow in the sky cried out in sorrow, holding a mutant rat in its mouth, and flew away quickly, obviously knowing that Lin Qi was not easy to mess with. But those rats, no matter how strong the opponent was, would never retreat as long as there was food. Are these rats the only ones who are disgusting me? The probability of the mutant rats being able to produce gene crystals is too small. With Lin Qi's eyesight, these rats are ordinary stuff, and there is no gene crystal at all. But if they are not solved, the endless supply will also be troublesome. Fortunately, the prey in the sky has left at this moment, so Lin Qi does not need to be distracted. With a spear in hand, the place where Lin Qi stood within 6 feet was like a vacuum zone. Any mutant rat that approached would be picked up by a spear and separated from the rat's head. In a short moment, dozens of mutant rat corpses rolled all over the ground, covering the ground with a full layer. The bloody smell filled the air again, mixed with a fishy smell, and gradually spread in the town. Huh? There's another little mouse king. Among the corpses on the ground, there was a mouse that was obviously different. Its hair looked darker, and its tail had a metallic texture. Lin Qi used a spear to break its head open, and indeed saw a small bean-like gene crystal. This kind of gene crystal with many impurities will cause physical discomfort if taken, and it is not very useful to decompose it, but it is perfect as a skill upgrade requirement. Lin Qi just put away the gene crystal, and suddenly felt the ground shaking. Be careful, there's a big guy. The two people who had been on guard at the window hurriedly reminded them, and saw a giant beast with hot air all over its body trotting over at the fork in the road not far away. Fuck. Before getting close, Lin Qi felt an inexplicable impact and subconsciously clenched the spear in his hand. It was a giant pig. Even the largest wild boar introduction I have seen before is not as big as the mutant giant pig in front of me. This wild boar must have experienced atavism. It was almost 2 meters tall, taller than an ordinary bison. Every time it stepped on the ground, its strong body would cause the ground to shake. It slowly stopped and stared at Lin Qi with its scarlet eyes. A breath of hot air blew out of its mouth full of fangs, blowing the mud on the ground in front of it. Retreat quickly. This is a second-level mutant beast, and it has already reverted to its ancestral state. It's not easy to deal with. Bai Su said anxiously, aiming the gun in her hand at the mutant pig on the street, ready to support at any time. Is this a second-level mutant beast? It seems that the catfish before was just an ordinary thing. As second-level mutant beasts, there is a world of difference between those with atavism and those without atavism. This mutant pig is huge, weighing at least 5,000 kilograms. If it were to charge over, Lin Qi would not be able to resist it now. Wild charge, Lin Qi felt the authenticity of this word for the first time. But the gun in his hand gave Lin Qi an inexplicable confidence. Come on. Chapter 67 I heard that what you eat replenishes your body. As if sensing Lin Qi's contempt, the mutant pig snorted, and a stream of hot air blew out of its nostrils, blowing up a pool of mud on the ground. It slowly moved its short legs, and as it stepped on the ground began to tremble. It only took 2 seconds from the beginning of acceleration to the charge. You're going all out right at the start. A mutant beast of this size no longer needs cumbersome attack methods such as biting and trampling. It can easily kill most opponents by crushing them with its strong body. And humans, who look fragile, are even more insignificant in the eyes of the giant pig after mutation. And its flexibility has not decreased because of its huge size. Even if he has taken the second-level gene crystal, he can't beat such a giant beast in strength in a head-on attack, so he can only avoid its edge temporarily. Lin Qi's pupils dilated slightly, and he found a suitable way to fight in just a moment. Borrowing the power of the spear, Lin Qi tapped the ground and jumped up, rushing towards the mutant giant pig, but in the air he stepped on another spear he had thrown before, and took off again. With the help of force twice, he just turned over to the sky above the mutant giant pig. The tip of the gun emitted strange fluctuations. The original tip of the gun seemed to extend a layer of illusory aura, and easily passed over the back of the mutant giant pig. The feeling of cutting flesh and skin blocked Lin Fei's leaping body, but he still landed steadily on the ground. A stream of blood surged up, and the mutant giant pig screamed. It rushed forward nearly 10 meters away by inertia before it barely stopped. It slid and turned around. The bristles on its back, as thick as chopsticks, burst and stood up one by one. The wound was torn a little more under the intense movement, revealing scarlet flesh and blood. Such thick pig skin, even if it was transformed into a gun tip, only scratched the surface, and did not hurt the bones and muscles at all. But the severe pain completely stimulated its ferocity. If there is no special gun tip, I'm afraid that ordinary cold weapons can't break its skin at all. This is still a wild boar without armor. There is no protective layer on its body. If it is armored, it will be even more difficult to deal with. However, the indestructible nature of the spear tip made it much easier for Lin Qi to deal with this thick-skinned creature. The mutant giant pig adjusted its body shape again, its muscles trembling and squeezing. The wound on its back quickly closed, and it closed the wound in a short time, and rushed towards Lin Qi again. But this time the speed was much slower, so it could adjust at any time. Be smart. Slight changes have countless possibilities. It is obviously not feasible to follow the previous method at this moment. Lin Qi's heart sank, and he simply prepared to use his ultimate move to kill the mutant giant pig in one fell swoop. With a spear across his body, when the mutant giant pig rushed over, his body rotated and flew up. A hurricane wrapped around his body, rolling up the surrounding soil. Although this wind pressure was strong, it could not shake the mutant giant pig's collision, but when he saw the target flying, the mutant giant pig also paused, and the power of its hind legs burst out, And it actually jumped up. With its mouth wide open, its mouth full of fangs revealed, it swallowed Lin Qi with a smelly hot air. Although such an attack would most likely cause it to be seriously injured, as long as it could swallow this human into its mouth, it could afford to pay some price. The powerful recovery ability of the second-level mutant beast would allow it to recover from its injuries in just a few days. Boom! When the air wave, like a dragon raising its head, reached its peak, it blasted out along the gun body. With two people watching nearby, Lin Qi couldn't shamefully call out the name of the skill, but this fierce breath could only highlight the sharpness of the whole body. A huge dragon-shaped gun shadow poured out and slammed into the mouth of the mutant giant pig. The powerful air force completely penetrated the head of the mutant giant pig and smashed the entire huge body to the ground. The ground shook violently, and the spreading air force caused all the glass of the nearby buildings to explode, and cracks appeared on the hard concrete floor. Lin Qi put away the gun on the ground, his pupils slowly contracted, and he exited the gene lock state, and his breath gradually stabilized. The head of the mutant giant pig in front of him exploded, blood and brain matter flowed all over the ground, and it was still breathing hot air in its mouth. It was not completely dead for a while. Lin Qi used a gun to pick out the second-order gene crystal in its head, and the trembling body of the mutant giant pig slowly calmed down. This gene crystal is larger than the catfish's before, as big as an egg, ruddy all over, with complex patterns on it, and a warm feeling in the hand. Although the mutant giant pig is dead, the breath it exudes makes the mutant beasts nearby dare not approach. Even if it is a corpse, it can deter those weak mutant beasts in a short time. Tuan Tuan and Bai Su came downstairs with guns at this time. Even if the corpse of the mutant giant pig has fallen, it is like a mountain of meat. My husband is so powerful. He can kill such a big piggy. This thing must have become his spirit. Tuan Tuan didn't dare to get too close, but the shock she gave to this mutant giant pig was much greater than that of the catfish. After all, in her cognition, big fish are often seen on the internet, but such a big wild boar has exceeded the existence of the world record. It's not a spirit, after all, it's a second-level mutant beast, and it's normal for it to grow to this size. Lin Qi walked around the mutant giant pig, thinking about taking some meat to take with him, wondering what it would feel like to eat. Of course, it's impossible to take all of the more than 5,000 kilograms of meat away, so Lin Qi decided to just cut off the limbs and get some lean meat. Pigskin has high defense, and it's also very strong for making armor. It can also be eaten at critical moments. Its fangs are stronger than ordinary metals, so you can get them all. Bai Su knew how special the materials on this mutant beast were, but with their current abilities, they couldn't use this pigskin for a while. Dealing with pigskin is really too troublesome. As for leather clothes, you can still consider it. Lin Qi's eyes swept over Tuan Tuan. Wearing ordinary clothes was not a burden for Tuan Tuan, and only tight leather clothes could limit trembling. And it can also increase defense, so why not? Lin Qi didn't care what kind of skin it was. After processing it, it couldn't be seen at all. The spear transformed into a sharp blade, and slowly cut along the pig's leg. It took a lot of effort to remove one of the hind legs. Tuan Tuan was not to be outdone, and found a long knife from the armored vehicle, wanting to go forward to help. But although her strength was not small, the toughness of the wild boar's skin was simply not something that ordinary cold weapons could break. After slashing and scratching, a white mark was left. Tuan Tuan was so angry that she directly opened the gene lock and mastered the skill to cut a hole. There happened to be a crack on the back of the mutant giant pig. After cutting 2 wounds along the body, Lin Qi only took the whole skin. Be careful, don't poke the belly, I don't want to see what this thing has eaten. Lin Qi looked at Tuan Tuan poking the mutant giant pig's belly with a knife, and hurriedly reminded him. Tuan Tuan then retracted the knife, looking reluctant. Husband, I heard that what you eat will replenish what you have, otherwise. Chapter 68 Be careful of your little tiger teeth. After peeling the pigskin, Lin Qi found some plastic sheeting to wrap up the forelegs and other things, and stuffed them into the armored vehicle. As for the food supplement, how could he, a powerful hero in the late stage, use it? The town was obviously not suitable for living anymore. The bloody smell of the mutant giant pig's corpse was too strong, and it would definitely attract a large number of mutant beasts to eat at night. The most likely ones to visit were definitely the ubiquitous mutant rats. If a large group of them were attracted, Lin Qi would feel troubled. So he poured some gasoline, set a fire, and then drove the armored vehicle and slowly drove away from the town. The residents of the town were scattered very widely. Sometimes there were only a few households several miles apart, and after several months of isolation, most of the buildings were vacant. Coupled with a migration after the apocalypse, it was very lucky to leave one household out of 10. After driving a few kilometers, it was completely dark. Lin Qi looked at the time and it was just past 7 o'clock. The house in front is quite big. Let's spend the night there tonight. It was a 2-story Western-style building on the roadside. The door was closed and the courtyard was dark. Okay, this house is nice. It must be very comfortable to live in. Tuanchun stretched her body. In her current state, she always felt sore in her waist and limbs. If she didn't lie down, she could always feel her blood flowing. The armored vehicle turned into the roadside and stopped at the door of the courtyard. The sound of the car did not cause any movement nearby, which meant that there were no mutant creatures nearby. But Lin Qi still waited for more than 10 seconds and listened for a moment before opening the car door and walking out. There was no sign of the door lock being pried. At the beginning of the doomsday, most of the survivors had no shortage of supplies and rarely looted the houses on the roadside. After opening the courtyard door, Lin Qi's eyes that could see at night swept across the courtyard. Judging from the traces of snow that had melted clean on the ground, no one should have been active in the courtyard in the past half-month. Let Bai Su help to light the light. Lin Qi took off the backup energy device on the car and installed it on the leakage circuit breaker. In an instant, the power was restored. The street lights in the courtyard lit up, dispelling the haze of darkness, making the 3 people feel inexplicably relaxed. I'll go upstairs to check. You guys get some food. How about eating meat tonight? The legs and skin of the wild boar need to be simply processed, and the rabbit also has many edible parts, which are the main ingredients for tonight. Okay, I haven't eaten fresh meat in the past few days, and I've been craving it for a long time. Tuanchun's current physical fitness allows her to avoid eating during special periods, and she even wants to drink something cold to suppress the fire in her heart. The room in the small building is very tidy, but there is a thin layer of dust on the floor. After entering the living room, Lin Qi turned on all the lights and checked every room upstairs. There is a lot of milk, ham, and a few boxes of wine stored in the guest room on the first floor. The bed in the bedroom on the second floor is clean and tidy. After turning on all the air conditioners, Lin Qi went downstairs to help the 2. The pig skin was hung in a ventilated place to dry, and the 4 pig legs were placed aside. They would be smoked later. This would not only remove the bloody smell, but also preserve it for a long time. As for the 2 longest pig tusks, special means were required to make them into weapons. There was firewood piled in the corner of the yard. Lin Qi started a fire directly in the yard and moved a table to prepare the ingredients. In the kitchen, Tuan and Bai Su were busy. With all the seasonings, they soon made a sumptuous dinner. There's still rabbit meat stewed in the pressure cooker. Let's eat it first. Tuan put 2 soup bowls of hot food on the table and gave the chopsticks to Lin Qi. The supplies in the car were all sealed cooked food. They only needed to be heated before they could be eaten, but the taste was definitely not as good as fresh rabbit meat. A safe place always makes people relax, especially this small yard, which can eliminate most of the dangers and let Lin Qi have no worries. Lin Qi took out the white wine under the table. In fact, drinking white wine is the most comfortable thing in such a cold day, and the 2 people's current physique does not need to worry about the danger of drunkenness. After pouring himself a glass, Lin Qi took a sip and slowly savored the taste. In fact, when you are not worried about getting drunk, the feeling of drinking is completely different from before. After taking a sip of wine, Lin Qi can even feel a heat slowly passing through. This is not the effect of the liquor, but the cells in the body feel the influence of alcohol and gradually become active. No wonder some people become more and more aggressive after drinking. So this is the case. After the gene awakening, the human body's perception is more acute than before, and the subtle changes in the body can be clearly perceived. Pour me a glass too. Tuanchun watched Lin Qi drink with relish, and she was also very curious. She had only drunk beer and red wine before, and had never touched liquor, but for some reason today, she also wanted to try it. I want a glass too. Bai Su was not to be outdone. After taking a glass of wine, Tuanchun was choked and coughed, and her face became visibly red. Bai Su was like nothing happened, and she didn't even see any changes on her face. It's so spicy. Tuanchun quickly ate 2 bites of food to suppress the taste of the liquor, but she became excited unconsciously. Don't drink any more. You are so young. Why drink alcohol? I remember there is milk in the room. Do you want me to get you a few bottles? Lin Qi stopped Tuanchuan from drinking. People who have never been in contact with alcohol will try it for the first time. They can't control the amount at all. If they drink too much, it will be lively at night. Why drink milk? I have it myself. Tuanchuan curled her lips. She had digested the milk in the past few days. You just drank a glass and started talking nonsense. The pressure cooker quickly cooked the rabbit meat. After Lin Qi released the gas, he brought it to the table. When he opened the lid, a strong fragrance emanated. After the wild rabbit was mutated, the flesh and blood were greatly improved. It was just a simple cooking, but it had a strange fragrance. With the flavoring of the big spices, the taste was all stimulated. I'll try a piece first. If there's anything wrong, my physique can resist it. After all, it was the first time to eat mutant beast meat, and Lin Qi was a little nervous. After picking up a piece and blowing it, he put it in his mouth and chewed it for a few times. The firm rabbit meat was stewed until it was soft and tender. It fell off the bone with a light bite. It was not greasy at all and had a great taste. How is it? Is it delicious? Tuanchuan widened her eyes, wanting to get Lin Qi's feedback. She was ready to pick up a piece with chopsticks at any time to taste it. Wait, I can't taste it. Let me try another piece. Lin Qi frowned and picked up another piece and put it in his mouth. Tuanchuan, don't wait. If you wait any longer, he will finish it. The meat of mutant beasts is delicious and can replenish qi and blood and strengthen the body. As long as it is not a special mutation, it can be eaten. Bai Su explained with a smile, picked up a piece for Tuanchuan, and picked up a piece for herself and ate it in small bites. Oh, you are so bad. Tuanchuan complained and lowered his head to eat. After a while, the three of them picked up all the meat in the pot. After eating and drinking, they simply cleaned up and returned to the second floor to wash and go to bed. There are 3 bedrooms on the second floor. Lin Qi specially asked Tuanchuan to tidy up 2 rooms so as to avoid being squeezed together like before. Bai Su closed the door early and seemed to be in a low mood. Tuanchuan, on the other hand, was very excited after drinking. Honey, I'll help you with your drinking. As soon as she came to the bed, Tuanchuan impatiently lifted her clothes and sat on Lin Qi. You know a lot. Lin Qi would naturally not refuse something that was delivered to his mouth, not to mention that he had eaten too much meat, so it was just the right time to relieve the greasiness. Moreover, the effect of Tuanchuan brand special milk was very significant. After each drink, Lin Qi could clearly feel the improvement of his physical fitness. After a long time, Lin Qi burped, indicating that he could not drink anymore. Oh, I didn't eat much tonight, and you took all the meat. Tuanchuan let out a sigh of relief, rolled on the bed, and rolled onto Lin Qi's legs unknowingly. Okay, I'll go downstairs and make it for you, whatever you want to eat. Lin Qi always felt accommodating to such an active girl. After coaxing her, he would obey her in everything. Why not? Hey, didn't you say today that you wanted me tonight? Tuanchuan laughed shyly a few times and got into bed. Yeah. Be careful of your little canine teeth. Lin Qi took a deep breath and quickly held down Tuanchuan's head. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 69, Crossing the Bridge. As soon as he woke up in the morning, Lin Qi felt that he was deeply immersed in warmth and couldn't extricate himself. So he patted Tuanchuan. After a while, Tuanchuan lay down contentedly and took a deep breath. It's so sore. She pinched herself and complained. It's better now, you don't have to eat breakfast. Lin Qi was a little speechless. If he continued like this, his normal speed would not be able to catch up with Tuanchuan's absorption. The two of them hesitated for a long time before they got dressed and went downstairs. Bai Su had simply cooked some porridge and prepared a portion of food for lunch. After the 3 of them finished packing and loaded the supplies onto the armored vehicle, they set off again. I didn't eat spicy food last night, why is it swollen? Bai Su obviously noticed something was wrong and asked Tuanchuan curiously. Tuanchuan felt a little sore in her mouth and didn't talk much in the morning. When she heard Bai Su's question, her face was inevitably a little embarrassed. Maybe the rabbit meat is too nutritious, I'm a little angry. In a hurry, She quickly found an excuse to cover it up. Your situation is different from getting angry. Bai Su muttered, and then ignored it, concentrating on collecting information on the computer. Whenever she saw something important, she would share it with the two of them. Unknowingly, she had obtained a lot of useful information before reaching the Central Plains safety zone. After crossing a deserted provincial road, another village appeared in front of them, and the square of that village was full of cars. The armored vehicle that we met in the town before was in the square, and several federal soldiers were commanding the evacuation of personnel in an orderly manner. Seeing the familiar modified car coming, everyone stopped what they were doing. But Lin Qi did not stop, and drove straight past, making the survivors who wanted to say hello give up their fluke mentality. The first time is strange, the second time is familiar. If you stop, you will be familiar with those soldiers. Maybe they will ask us to help transport these survivors. There is no need to get involved in trouble. Lin Qi looked at Bai Su Tuan's puzzled look and explained. In the doomsday, if you don't want to get into trouble, don't be too enthusiastic about others. They will still lend us supplies, right? Tuan Chuan understood. She was not good at saying no. Yes, although I am not a stingy person, there is no need to share my own things with others. The modified car passed through the village, and the cars blocking the road along the way moved away one after another. The road left was only for ordinary cars to pass. The width of this car was much larger than other cars. It was those three people. They should have stayed in that town yesterday. They are really skilled and bold. On the federal armored vehicle, a soldier looked at the armored vehicle with envy, but his tone was just envy. They are not simple. What happened yesterday should be related to that man. If it is not necessary, don't provoke him. The team leader thought more than others. He saw at a glance what the purpose of the two groups of people yesterday was. After being stopped by his group, he must have been unwilling, but he encountered an accident before he could take action. The only suspect was the owner of the modified car. After passing this village, it is already the edge of another city. The provincial road has become a two-way road. Although the buildings on both sides were not affected by the explosion, they were destroyed by the survivors passing by. You can even see survivors in the shops and carrying supplies. There are people blocking the road on the bridge ahead. Bai Su noticed something was wrong at a glance. There were too many survivors staying nearby. Some even lived in houses on the roadside and did not enter the city. This bridge is the only way to enter the city. If you want to bypass it, you must pass through a bombing area and enter from another bridge more than 10 kilometers away, which is very troublesome. Therefore, even if someone blocks the road, it can't stop the survivors. Boss. Here comes a big guy. In front of the bridge, several cars blocked the way, leaving a passage, but it was blocked by iron bars. Two survivors were holding double-barrel guns and counting the supplies handed in by people entering the city. When they saw the modified car for the first time, several people stopped what they were doing, their eyes full of fanaticism. If it was before the end of the world, they would not even dare to think about seeing such a car. After all, the person who can modify such a car must be rich or noble. But now the situation is completely different. Stop it and test the waters. If you are not a big shot, leave the car for me. A man who was sitting in the car smoking had his eyes wide open the moment he saw the car. After taking 2 deep puffs, he put out his cigarette, pulled out the gun in the car and walked out. Stop. If you want to cross the bridge, each person has to pay 10 kilograms of supplies. A survivor with a brief on his sleeve and a double-barreled spray gun in his hand stopped the modified car. Lin Qi got out of the car with a rifle in his hand and pointed it directly at the people coming over. You don't want to live anymore. Who told you to stop the road and collect fees here? What's the name of your leader? A federal rifle was pushed up, and this momentum frightened these people so much that they were stunned on the spot. After all, the firearms in their hands were shotguns and handmade guns developed spontaneously by small factories. The craftsmanship of the bullets was not up to standard, and the power was far from comparable to the federal rifles. The most important thing is that Lin Qi's tone of voice was very much like that of a warlord. Forgive these low-level forces who have never been in contact with the upper echelons. In their impression, warlords are usually like this. A young man who was recently incompetent subconsciously raised his gun to resist, but saw a slap coming over. His mind was instantly blanked and he fell straight to the ground. What are you doing? What are you doing? You have no eyesight. Put your guns away. The boss who had just stepped out of the car quickly stuffed the gun into the hands of the younger brother beside him, and walked over to slap each of the younger brothers who resisted with guns. "This military lord, calm down. Calm down. It is no secret that the world situation has changed. This has made the ordinary people's original respect for the Federation slowly turn into awe, recreating the scene of warlord separatism 100 years ago. This military lord is the most reasonable change. Come on, tell me, who told you to do this?" Lin Qi noticed that another young man beside him was a little dissatisfied, and the homemade spray gun in his hand gradually tended to rise, and he fired a bullet at random. Bang! A bullet accurately passed through the guy's unruly eyes, and the back of his head exploded, and the blood and brains splashed onto the car behind. His body fell straight down. "Don't move. Don't be impulsive." The boss was so scared that his face turned pale, but he still held down the younger brother beside him. "This guy has never died, right? He just wanted to shoot me, did you see it?" Lin Qi was most afraid of encountering such a fool, who was simple-minded and really dared to shoot. "General, calm down, that fool is ignorant, don't argue with him, I'll open the way for you to pass." The boss felt his scalp tingling. It was hard to imagine how big his background was for this guy who shot without saying a word. Although he had the advantage in numbers, the power of the two rifles on the other side was not comparable to his own. Once they fought, he would definitely not survive. If a younger brother died, he would die. Who made him have no vision? This kind of fool could deal with ordinary people, but when he saw those dignitaries, he would only cause trouble for himself. Seeing that the gun in Lin Qi's hand was always aimed at him, the boss's face trembled and he forced out a miserable smile. Chapter 70 College life is good. The armored vehicle slowly crossed a bridge. Lin Qi put away his gun and checked the rear through the surveillance. Those people were still on the bridge, and even nodded and bowed to see them off. The body was quickly dragged and thrown into the river, and the bridge was blocked again. Bai Su was silent. It had only been a short time, and the order of the Federation had become so chaotic. In fact, there are such things in peacetime, temporary workers. Lin Qi was not surprised. As long as he had a gun in his hand, all beings were equal. It was really hard to understand the feeling of having no scruples after killing. The slap just now was really satisfying. In this case, we will encounter a lot of trouble after entering the city. They had just approached the city and encountered such a thing. The ruffians dared to intercept them. It is not difficult to imagine how much trouble they would have if they encountered people who were spying on this modified car. Try to go to the edge of the city. Ordinary people really can't take us down. The defense of the modified car can resist ordinary hot weapons. As long as they don't conflict with the federal army, some civilian forces can't do anything to them. After crossing the bridge, Lin Qi saw that the road on the left had been blown up, so he had no choice but to drive on the right. This road was a bypass for the city, and there were many abandoned vehicles by survivors on the road. In the pit not far away, there were hundreds of corpses piled up. Judging from the degree of decay, they should be virus zombies. It was obvious that someone had specially cleaned up here. Take a look at the map I sent you. If you go around from the east, the journey is quite long, because not far ahead is the bombing zone of 30 kilometers. Bai Su sent a map to Lin Qi. The clear satellite map even showed the ruins and the center of the charred bombing zone, which was the newly established safe zone. There were 2 passages left on the ruins, and a deep mark surrounded half of the ruins. It's better to take the outer ring. I'm afraid the city has been cleaned up a long time ago. Even zombies are rare, not to mention mutant creatures. With Lin Qi's strength, he might be reused if he entered the safe zone, and even get a good position in a short time, but if he wants to contact those mutant creatures again, he can only wait until the beginning of next spring. He is afraid that he will be ordered by the safe zone to do some troublesome things throughout the winter. It would be better to fight alone, which would enhance my strength to some extent. When I can't resist it next year, I can find a safe zone to avoid the limelight. This is the university town. Tuan Chun recognized the location of the safe zone. She applied for the university in the city when she graduated, and she had played there before. College life is good. Lin Qi couldn't help but sigh, and he was quite curious about this safe zone. If you want to enter this safe zone, I still have some ways. Bai Su heard the yearning in the tone of the 2 people. With her status, she should be valued by the safe zone. No, you may have misheard my punctuation. Lin Qi stepped on the accelerator, turned into the outer ring road, and headed towards the industrial zone on the edge of the city. The Central Asian Federation is the most developed federation in the industrial system. Each city has a mature industrial system and can basically be self-sufficient. Before the bombing, these industrial zones will be deliberately avoided and kept for use at any time in the future. But now, this place has been temporarily abandoned. Almost everyone has evacuated this area. Even the search and rescue team will not come here to clear the danger. The road here is very wide. Lin Qi can drive at full speed. After a while, he passed by a factory. The snow on the factory has not melted yet. The temperature has risen, so the snow on the road has almost melted, but there is still a thick layer of snow in the area blocking the sun. Lin Qi noticed that there were many footprints of humans and animals on the snow, and thought to himself that he had come to the right place. Just search around in the next few days and try to get more gene crystals. You and Tuanchuan need to improve your strength. Second-level mutant beasts are hard to come by, and Lin Qi doesn't expect it. However, his first-level gene limit has not yet reached perfection, so there is no rush. During this period of time, he only needs to accumulate the upper limit of the genes below the first level, and it will not be too late to continue taking the second-level gene crystals. Baisu hesitated, but didn't say anything. During this period of time, all the gene crystals obtained were taken by Lin Qi and Tuanchuan, and she didn't eat a single one. Lin Qi is willing to share with her now, so he should be ready to accept her into the team. You just need to improve your strength first, I can come later. Baisu pushed her glasses, and the corners of her mouth curled up inexplicably. This factory area is very concentrated. There is another factory area only a few thousand meters away, and there is also a living street and factory dormitory nearby. This is the only place for workers living near the factory area to relax. Moreover, the degree of greening here is relatively high. There is a small forest every few meters. Wood wholesale market, shoe factory, refractory materials, garment factory, let's go here. Seeing the sign of a garment factory, Lin Qi stopped decisively, turned the steering wheel and turned around. There happened to be unprocessed mutant giant pig skin in the car. If it can be made into armor in this garment factory, there will be fewer worries when encountering mutant beasts in the future. Although Lin Qi can easily kill the mutant beasts he encountered now, he still needs to make more preparations. Let Baisu drive. Lin Qi went down to push open the retractable door of the garment factory, and drove the modified car in. There were traces of human activity in front of the garment factory, but Lin Qi didn't care. Even if there were people in such a place, they were survivors hiding in the factory, or zombies wandering nearby. Sure enough, after entering the factory, the roar of the modified car engine attracted the zombies in the dark. A low roar came, and a mutant zombie with torn clothes ran out of the factory. Its upper body clothes were torn in half, revealing its hideous muscles. The thick red tendons spread like big earthworms, and it could be seen wriggling faintly when running. The hands of this mutant zombie were obviously larger than those of ordinary zombies, with slender fingers and slender nails. Are the zombies in big cities so mutated? Lin Qi quickly patted the car window and signaled Tuan to hand him the bow and arrow, but seeing that the speed of this mutant zombie was several times faster than that of ordinary zombies, it was almost in front of the modified car after just a moment's delay. So there was no time to take the bow and arrow, so he jumped onto the roof of the car and pulled out a long spear. Baisu, play a war song. Lin Qi planned to get rid of all the zombies in this factory area once and for all, so that he would not have to be cautious at night. When a powerful music sounded, the factory area became completely lively, and the zombies hiding in the dark were startled one after another, and slowly surrounded along the source of the noise. Tuan also opened the roof cover, covered her chest and squeezed out her upper body, and sat on the roof with both hands. Honey, let me try to shoot an arrow. Lin Qi had taught Tuan archery before, but when she really faced the zombies, she rarely had the opportunity to shoot. Now that she was in a high position and with Lin Qi's protection, she naturally wanted to try it. After saying that, without waiting for Lin Qi's response, she took the arrow and put it on the bow, aiming at a zombie in the distance. She took a deep breath, her pupils slightly dilated, and a hint of sharpness slowly appeared on her delicate little face. Thank you book friend 160,929,031,131,799 for the 500 coin reward. Thank you 08 for the 100 coin reward. Thank you book friends for your continued support. Chapter 71 Making Armor. Lin Qi smashed the zombie's head close to the modified car with a shot, and the sticky brains were scattered all over the floor. Looking back, Tuan had already shot an arrow, and the carbon arrow hit a zombie's eye, instantly stopping it from moving. She had seen Lin Qi use the bow and arrow many times, and after turning on the gene lock, he naturally mastered it quickly. After just a few arrows, he became more and more proficient. A trace of excitement gradually emerged on the little girl's face. Every time she shot an arrow, her chest trembled. Unknowingly, a quiver had been shot with only a few arrows. "Teacher Bai, give me some more arrows." When there were only 2 arrows left, Tuan decisively asked for his needs. Bai Su quickly handed over another quiver. However, the zombies with a higher degree of mutation already had the instinct to avoid danger. When they were locked by arrows, they would subconsciously block their arms in front of their heads. Tuan shot through a zombie's arm with a few arrows, but never killed it. "You deal with the simple ones, leave these to me." Lin Qi did not get out of the car. He held a long gun in his hand to protect the surroundings of the armored vehicle. As long as there were any zombies that were missed approaching, he would shoot them in the head. Even mutant zombies could not resist the sharp and indestructible gun. There were not many zombies in the factory. There were only 2 rounds, and almost all of them had been killed by Tuan and Lin Qi. Only those slow-moving virus zombies were left, slowly approaching with slow steps. This kind of zombie was almost dormant under the freezing before, but as the temperature gradually rose, it had the power to move again, and its rotten body showed signs of improvement. But now, it is still the lowest level of zombies, and it poses no threat to awaken people with certain abilities. "It's almost done, move the car." Lin Qi knocked on the roof of the car with his gun, and the exciting music was turned off. Bai Su restarted the car, crushed the zombies on the ground, and drove the modified car to the other side of the yard. "Hey, you said that mutant beasts have gene crystals in their heads, and Zerg also have evolution crystals, so why are there nothing in zombies' heads?" Before, out of curiosity, I dissected a mutant zombie, but the head was empty, and according to the information obtained, the Federation did not announce that there were any useful things on the zombies. According to the balance of biological evolution, this should not be the case. We have also had doubts about this issue, and even scanned the bodies of strong people who opened the second-level gene lock, and there were no crystals in their heads. When Bai Su heard this question, her tone was a little heavy. In the field of biology, humans are actually no different from animals. It's just that from the perspective of humans, they always feel that they are superior to all living things. Why don't crystals appear in the heads of humans, but become awakened? It's probably because the characteristics of this virus are inexplicably related to human genes. Bai Su hesitated for a moment and did not tell Lin Qi his guess. This kind of thing, even if ordinary people know, is of no use at all. It's better if there isn't one, otherwise everyone will have a crystal core in their brain, and maybe they will be remembered by others every day. Killing mutant beasts to obtain gene crystals is a way for awakened people to become stronger. In the future, there will definitely be a large number of people who will do anything for power. If there are also gene crystals in the brains of awakened people, I really can't imagine what some people will do to become stronger. After taking out the pigskin and locking the car door, the 3 of them entered the factory one by one and began to clean up the remaining omissions. The industrial factory buildings of the garment factory are all 3-story buildings, connected in the middle of the second floor on both sides, but they are divided into several areas. Lin Qi stood in front of the factory area planning map and read it. After memorizing the general introduction of the factory building in his mind, he led the 2 people up the nearest stairs. Passing by one factory building after another, the doors of the rooms were all locked, and the inside was clean and tidy. It was obvious that the factory had stopped working at the beginning of the doomsday. The zombies before might be the first survivors who hid in the factory area and the workers guarding the factory building. The leather workshop is at the end of the second floor. Let's go take a look and settle down here tonight. The environment of this factory is very good. There are even offices and rest areas in the workshop, which is not much worse than the small hotel outside. There is also a canteen in the factory. Although the materials have been moved away long ago, there are still many facilities that may be used. All the way to the leather workshop, there was no danger. Lin Qi pried open the door lock and the 3 of them entered the leather workshop. There are dozens of machines in the workshop. There are still a lot of leather piled on the shelves in the corner. Next door is the workshop for soaking rawhides. The smell of chemical agents is very strong. I'll see if there are any instructions for soaking leather. You two learn cutting and try to make the protective gear in the shortest time. The mainstream combat suits of the future will definitely be obtained from mutant creatures. It is better to master some skills in advance. Lin Qi went to the rawhide workshop next door and directly opened the gene lock, concentrating his mind. Through the clues in the workshop and the operation diagram drawn on the wall, he soon had a general understanding. Put the raw pig skin into the soaking pool, pour in the prepared chemical agent on the side, and it only takes one night to complete the simple treatment. Back to the next workshop, Tuan and Baisu were selecting finished leather clothes on the hangers. Sure enough, this woman couldn't help but show off wherever she went. Seeing Lin Qi coming over, Tuan turned around and wanted to get Lin Qi's praise. Not bad, this dress suits you very well. Lin Qi did not hesitate to praise him. With these clothing templates, the three of them didn't have to grope around. 2 wild boar skins were soaked in it, but the materials separated from the gene crystals still needed to be adjusted to further enhance the strength of the animal skin. Moreover, the second-order gene crystal had not yet decomposed. It was time to find an opportunity to take it. Lin Qi found an office next door with a restroom. After cleaning the desk, he went back to the armored vehicle and moved all of Baisu's work equipment over. After installing the energy device and restoring the power in the room, the three began to get busy. Tuan used an induction cooker to cook a simple dinner. In front of the desk, Lin Qi and Baisu cleaned a table, placed the equipment, and started the operation. The gene crystal of the mutant giant pig has always been carried by Lin Qi. After diluting the decomposition liquid, the clean gene crystal was put into it, and gradually emitted a red light. Several other gene crystals were also taken out by Lin Qi. The materials after this decomposition can be used to make a backup energy device, and the decomposed colloid is also very useful. After many studies by the Federation, this colloid is very useful. After being prepared in a special way, it can melt the bones, teeth, claws, etc. of mutant creatures. After reshaping again, it can be made into a weapon suitable for human use. Chapter 72, Too Courageous. After the long knife was molded, all the basic work was done. Tuan also prepared dinner. After the three of them had eaten, they tidied up the lounge in the office and prepared to have a good sleep. The temperature emitted by the air conditioner made the room very warm, but looking at the narrow small bed, it was obviously more crowded than last time if 3 people slept on it. I'll go to the factory to sleep. It's not very cold there. Lin Qi took the initiative to give in, otherwise if Tuan made another sneak attack at night, Baisu would definitely notice it. Last time when they lay together, his hands were not placed in the right place. If he fell asleep this time, his lower body might not be in order. Let's just squeeze in. The factory has no electricity and it will be very cold at night. Baisu didn't seem to care at all. She took off her coat, revealing her curvy figure, and sat on the bed first. She curled up in the corner and left most of the space after lying on her side. Well, let's make do with it for one night. I'll set up the rest room tomorrow when the backup energy is ready. Since Teacher Bai didn't mind, Lin Qi naturally wouldn't force it. He motioned Tuan to lie in the middle and squeezed in on the side. As soon as she lay down, Tuan half of her body was pressed against Lin Qi, and her little hands were touching him up and down. With her back to Teacher Bai, she didn't dare to move too much. She just put her hands on the hottest part of Lin Qi's body and slowly felt the expansion and jump. Until midnight, the 3 of them were sleeping soundly. Tuan, who was lying in the middle, suddenly opened her eyes. Her eyes were clear and she didn't seem to be sleepy at all. She turned her head carefully and saw Teacher Bai, who was close to her, facing her. Her breathing was restrained a little. After adjusting her posture, she gradually moved under the quilt, and her little head gradually disappeared in the middle. Lin Qi, who was sleeping soundly, suddenly woke up and looked at Teacher Bai next to him with fear. Tuan, who was originally sleeping in the middle, disappeared unexpectedly. The extra person in the quilt was attacking in the dark. Tuan's boldness made Lin Qi lose his sleepiness. He was trembling with fear that Teacher Bai would notice. Although in this case, if he was discovered, he would definitely not be embarrassed. Come out quickly, Teacher Bai's about to wake up. But Tuan seemed not to hear it, as if the quilt was warmer. The faint movement made Teacher Bai frown slightly, subconsciously pulled the corner of the quilt, and opened his eyes in a daze. After a while, he got used to the darkness and realized that something was wrong. Baisu's eyes were confused. She opened her eyes and saw not Tuan who was closest to her, but Lin Qi, who also had his eyes open. Subconsciously, she thought Tuan Tuan had woken up. When she was about to ask, Lin Qi suddenly reached out and covered her mouth. Bai Su's eyes were full of surprise, and her face instantly turned red and hot. After watching the surveillance several times, how could she not understand what happened? And this time it was with that kind of heart-shaking voice. Tuan Tuan, who worked hard to transition, slowly arched out of the quilt, fell asleep in Lin Qi's arms, and never looked back at Bai Su. When Tuan Tuan's breathing gradually became steady, Lin Qi's hand was still on Bai Su's face. She could even feel the warm breath slowly gathering in her palm. Bai Su woke up as if from a dream. She quickly turned her head and turned her back to get rid of Lin Qi's hand. She bit her lips lightly, her eyes full of inexplicable color. After dawn, Lin Qi got up early and went to the garment workshop to check the processed wild boar skins. After a night of soaking, the fat and hair on the pig skins had fallen off. After a simple treatment, only 2 soft leathers were left. After further dehydration, drying, and pressing, it was a qualified leather. Tuan Tuan brought a cup of hot milk for breakfast. Bai Su naturally did not have this treatment and could only drink some authentic milk. For the whole morning, Bai Su could not look directly at Tuan Tuan. Every time she saw Tuan Tuan's rosy little mouth, a strange picture would emerge in her mind, making her uneasy. By noon, the gene crystals had been decomposed, and Bai Su prepared a gel liquid to evenly break through the animal skin, strengthening the characteristics of the animal skin. After waiting for complete fusion, they could start cutting. The second-order crystal was made into a spare energy device, and a tube of red gene liquid was handed to Lin Qi. "I'll find a place to take it and try it." This was the second time to take the second-order gene liquid. Lin Qi had already had experience, so he went outside on purpose. The red gene liquid was drunk into the mouth and turned into a heat current that spread throughout the body. The next second, a feeling of dryness and heat came over and filled every part of the body. The gene lock state was automatically turned on, and a sense of power transmission rose from the inside out. The overall improvement is about 20%, and the strength is the most obvious. After turning on the gene lock, there will be a clear understanding of the body. Lin Qi can intuitively feel how much the gene liquid brings, but it will definitely increase slowly in the future. The dryness and heat on his body had not yet dissipated, so Lin Qi simply took a long knife and started to move around outdoors. Most of the vegetation inside the factory area is holly trees. No one has maintained them for a long time, and the branches and leaves of these trees have grown very high. Lin Qi simply swung his long knife and chopped them randomly, from the beginning to the end, from the factory area to the door, and he was very happy. Men's fun is sometimes so simple. When he arrived near the modified car, Lin Qi was surprised to find that all the zombies on the ground had turned into skeletons, and there were even traces of gnawing on the bones. Another mutant rat. No mutant rats were noticed last night. I think they were all attracted by these corpses. The garment factory often handles leather, and there are even warehouses for storing leather. I think there have been rats occupying the place for a long time. This made Lin Qi cautious. Maybe tonight, these rats will go out in groups and attack them. It seems that we should prepare early. Thinking of this hidden danger, Lin Qi no longer wanted to continue walking around. He quickly returned to the factory area and headed towards the warehouse where rawhides were stored. The rawhide warehouse is at the innermost of the factory area, and it is a separate warehouse. As soon as Lin Qi got closer, he smelled a rotten smell mixed with the stench of the sewer. So he slowly approached, and sure enough, under the door of the warehouse, he found a hole with a diameter of more than half a meter. What a big rat's nest. There couldn't be only one hole for rats, but Lin Qi looked around and didn't find the second hole. He had to give up his original plan to burn down the warehouse. In that case, he could only drive the rats out, but couldn't kill them all. We still need bait, so we can only get some outside. It's easy to find zombies or mutant beasts in the factory area outside. Just kill a few and bring them back, and throw a few nearby, and you can definitely lure the mutant rats out of the warehouse at night. Chapter 73 Mutated Sheep. Lin Qi only took a long knife and walked out of the factory area, climbed over the sliding door, and followed the main road to the nearby living street. From a distance, several zombies were wandering on the street, walking aimlessly. Most of this living street is restaurants, and there are also some entertainment venues. There is a barber shop every few hundred meters, but the shuttered doors are closed, and it is hard to tell whether it is formal or not. He found a pickup truck on the side of the road, opened the door and checked it, started the ignition, and the fuel gauge showed that there was still 1 bar of fuel. So he directly crashed into the zombies. A zombie was knocked out 10 meters away, and its arms were twisted, but after rolling a few times, it struggled to turn over, and crawled towards Lin Qi with a cracked mouth roaring. As soon as he got close, he was stabbed in the forehead by Lin Qi, and he killed all the nearby zombies with a knife and threw them into the truck bed. A zombie weighed only more than 100 pounds. Lin Qi estimated that at least a dozen would be needed to lure out all the mutant rats. So he drove the pickup truck slowly on the street, honking the horn continuously. The noise soon alarmed nearby creatures, not only the zombies hiding in the corner, but also some survivors. The window on the second floor of the bath center opened, and a head poked out to observe carefully. "Hey, buddy, don't go looking for death. You're honking the horn like this, attracting all the mutant beasts." He lowered his voice and looked around at the same time, fearing that he would see something that would scare him. "Are there mutant beasts?" Hearing this, Lin Qi stopped the car and looked around out of the window, but there were only a few zombies on the street, and there was no sign of mutant beasts at all. When the zombies approached, he raised his hand and cut them with a knife. "Brother, you are awesome." The young man in the window watched several zombies fall to the ground and were thrown into the truck bed, and he had to squeeze out these words. They usually dared to kill zombies, but they were always cautious, fearing that something unexpected would happen. How could they be like this man, cutting melons and vegetables? "Brother, what kind of mutant beast is that? Is it powerful?" "If it is just an ordinary mutant beast, it would be fine, but if it is a second-level mutant beast, it is worth hunting by Lin Qi." "How can a mutant beast not be powerful?" "Hide quickly, those guys will come soon." The sound of the car horn is very contagious, and it is on the quiet street. Normally, it can be heard clearly even if it is hundreds of meters away. The hearing of mutant beasts is often more sensitive than that of humans. "It's just right that you are here. I need this thing." From what the young man said, it seems that there are many mutant beasts, which makes Lin Qi more and more excited. However, when he turned his head and looked at the street, he was suddenly stunned. "Fuck. I saw that at the corner of the street, dozens of huge sheep appeared, each of them was like a calf, and when they ran, they were very powerful. Although they were all first-level mutant beasts, they could easily knock over the car in groups, and the sharp horns on their heads also poked 2 holes in the iron plate. The devil sheep are coming. Come in and hide." The man at the second-floor window shouted, and quickly went downstairs to open the door, motioning Lin Qi to hide inside. With only a knife in his hand, Lin Qi really didn't want to fight with so many mutant beasts. Without hesitation, he quickly abandoned the car and hid in the bath center. There were a lot of debris piled up at the door, and there was only one exit for people to pass through. After Lin Qi entered, the man quickly sprinkled a bottle of disinfectant at the door and locked the iron door. The next moment, a bang-bang sounded, and the pickup truck parked in the middle of the road seemed to be hit by something, and a violent collision sound was heard. Lin Qi noticed that there were still a few people in the hall, but they all had a trace of panic on their faces. "Young man, you are too bold. You dare to honk the horn on the street. Those devil sheep will eat people." A thin middle-aged man in the hall couldn't help but complain. "Now that the sheep were led to the door, I'm afraid they won't disperse in a short time." Honest people don't dare to express their dissatisfaction directly. Complaining is already the greatest courage. As soon as he finished speaking, the sound of chewing bones came from outside, which made people shudder. At this time, the man at the window first checked the sturdiness of the door, and then he breathed a sigh of relief. "Dude, are you from somewhere else?" Lin Qi's actions made him roughly guess that he was going to hunt zombies on the street, but he seemed to have no idea about the situation here. "Yes, there are a lot of people here. Why don't you go to the safe area? This industrial area is only a few dozen kilometers away from the city. Maybe if you go out not far, you can meet the federal search team. You shouldn't be trapped here. We want to, but there are a lot of mutant beasts outside. There's a breeding farm nearby. The animals in it are fucking mutated." Several waves of people who wanted to leave before were attacked by mutant beasts before they went far. The young man seemed to be the leader here. When he spoke, several people nodded repeatedly. "Okay, let's go up to the second floor first. If we stay in the hall for too long, we will smell human smell outside." The young man glanced at the long knife in Lin Qi's hand, and there was a hint of surprise in his eyes. With his eyesight, He could naturally see the extraordinariness of the knife. After going up to the second floor, Lin Qi found that there were more people here, men, women, young and old, and even a few children of 4 or 5 years old. This is a group of real survivors. Everyone came to the window. At this moment, the group of mutant sheep on the street had overturned the pickup truck, and several zombie corpses were dragged back and forth, but those mutant sheep only ate those infected zombies, but stayed away from the virus zombies. These mutant sheep are so picky about food. This is the first time that Lin Qi has seen mutant creatures eating zombies up close, and they are herbivorous mutant sheep. In fact, sheep are omnivores. They usually eat grass and occasionally eat some small animals. After the mutation, in terms of food selection, meat can naturally provide more nutrition, otherwise they will not grow so big. The young man sighed. At first, they didn't realize that these sheep were so scary. At that time, they chose to stay in a safe place and wait for rescue by federal soldiers. But as the days passed, these mutant creatures became more and more ferocious. When I came here, I passed by several factory areas. There didn't seem to be any mutant beasts there. You can actually leave from that road. Lin Qi explained the route he took when he came here, hoping to give the other party some help. No, we have received a notice from the Federation. They will send people to clean up the mutant beasts here in the next 2 days. Then a rescue team will escort us to a safe area. The young man was very calm. After all, he had already contacted the federal rescue team and there was no need to take risks. This is good. After all, there are old people and children. The faces of the old people were full of suffering, and the children were ignorant with a hint of fear. They may not have realized what terrible thing had happened. My name is Suyu. I'm also an awakener and my home is nearby. Suyu briefly introduced the people around him, even the children's names. If a person has no sense of existence, as time goes by, he will gradually disappear in the crowd. My name is Lin Qi, don't worry, I will help you with these sheep. Almost every mutant beast has genetic crystals in its brain, and Lin Qi will definitely not let them go. Moreover, these people are willing to open the door and let him in to hide, which is worth Lin Qi's help. Chapter 74 Advance Big Force. Don't be impulsive. Even if you are an awakener, you can't deal with so many mutant beasts. When they finish eating, they will leave on their own. Suyu had seen Lin Qi's extraordinary skills before, but that was only to deal with ordinary zombies. If he was given a sharp knife, he could do it. Where can I find so many mutant beasts if I leave? Don't worry, I will leave one for you later, enough for you to eat for a few days. After Lin Qi said this, he opened the window and jumped down. He swung his knife in midair, and a flash of lightning burst out from the blade. The head of a mutant sheep was instantly split into two, with a neat cut and a trace of burn marks. Before the head was completely separated, Lin Qi rushed to the street and ran to the location of the garment factory. The sheep that reacted screamed angrily, and there was a unique ferocity in their bleating, like the roar of a ram in heat. The leader quickly chased Lin Qi on all fours, and the rest of the mutant sheep followed closely behind, and the ground shook again. Lin Qi ran slowly, just hanging on the sheep in front to ensure that no one would fall behind. The attraction of flesh and blood of this thing was far greater than that of ordinary zombies, and it could be used as bait. When he arrived at the garment factory, he jumped over the telescopic door, ran quickly to the modified car, and with a kick, he climbed onto the roof. Then he pulled out a long spear. With one shot, the sharp spear directly pierced the body of a mutant sheep. It jumped twice and then collapsed on the ground, but the rest had already jumped over the telescopic door and surrounded the modified car. On the roof of the car, Lin Qi placed a total of 10 long spears, which he used as throwing weapons at this moment, and it was just right to kill this mutant beast. The long spear in his hand accumulated power, and a swimming dragon condensed on it. The gun body trembled faintly. When Lin Qi threw it with all his strength, the air in front of him was distorted, turning into a dragon-shaped gun shadow, which hit a mutant sheep heavily. The sheep's body exploded instantly, and the following ones were also impacted and fell to the ground. A deep pit suddenly appeared on the ground, and cracks spread out. Lin Qi quickly picked up the remaining spears, one by one, and when he finished throwing, he jumped out of the car decisively. He chopped down with a long knife in his hand, and another one fell. When holding the knife, Lin Qi felt domineering in his heart, and even felt that he would be braver and braver as he fought, and he could cut everything with a knife. The mutant sheep were already in a mess, But the bloodiness of the mutation made these hideous guys ignore death and lower their heads to hit Lin Qi. Thunder slash. The long knife was attached with lightning, and it chopped down with one knife. The arc-shaped lightning blade light spread out, and the head of the nearest mutant sheep was instantly split into two. Half of its face fell to the ground, and its body still rushed forward. Lin Qi dodged sideways, and swung another knife, cutting through the neck of a mutant sheep. Bai Su and Tuan Tuan, who came after hearing the inquiry, saw so many mutant sheep appearing in the open space of the factory area, and raised their guns to aim. The bullet exploded on the mutant sheep, splashing blood, but it was impossible to kill it without hitting its vital parts. "Don't waste bullets, I can handle it alone." Lin Qi stopped the two from wasting bullets. These mutant sheep just allowed him to brush up his skill advancement progress. When he killed the last one, Lin Qi stuck his long knife into the ground and rolled up his sleeves. The easiest skill to advance at the moment was the newly acquired Big B Pocket, and he had already completed the progress once. The last mutant sheep was breathing heavily from its nostrils, and its rectangular pupils were fixed on Lin Qi. Its head was slightly pressed down, and the curved horns on its head were like two spikes. Its strong limbs moved and rushed towards Lin Qi. Pa! A slap was thrown, and the mutant sheep staggered and rushed several meters away diagonally. Only then did it stabilize its body and turn its head again. Its left eye instantly became bloodshot and red, but this slap completely aroused its ferocity. Two streams of red-hot air spurted out of its nostrils and hit Lin Qi again. Pa! Another slap was slapped, causing the mutant sheep to stagger and almost fall to the ground. Lin Qi shook his hands. After the two slaps, his hands were a little numb. But after two attempts, he also found the feeling. This inexplicable sense of release was even more refreshing than swinging a knife and shooting an arrow. "What are you doing, husband? Do you want to slap this sheep to death?" Tuan Chuan was holding a gun with a puzzled look on her face. At this time, they dared not get too close. After being slapped twice, the mutant sheep was obviously a little crazy. "I thought of a special way of attack. It's very sharp." The mutant sheep was afraid and dared not move forward. It even retreated backwards and had a tendency to escape, but how could Lin Qi let go of this rare experimental material? He quickly chased after it, grabbed the sheep's horns, and slapped it again. After the first advanced condition was completed, the mutant sheep was bleeding from all 7 orifices and collapsed on the ground. It could no longer stand up. Half of its head was swollen and its entire brain had been shaken into paste. 1. Perform the big trap on the target 10 times. Completed. 2. Use the big trap to kill a mutant beast. Completed. Primary big trap has been upgraded to powerful big trap. Shock. Using the big trap will cause mental damage to the target, making it stiff for 1 second. When attacking a faceless creature, the effect is doubled. Current skill can be upgraded. Upgrade requirements: 1. Use the big trap 100 times. Cannot be repeated. 2. Use the big trap 100 times on a faceless creature. Cannot be repeated. 3. Consume 10 first-level gene crystals. The loophole was sealed for me. Just now, Lin Qi had brushed the mutant sheep's face 9 times. He thought that this skill would be easy to upgrade in the future, but he didn't expect that the loophole would be fixed in the next level. Come and help collect the gene crystals. There are more than 30 mutant sheep in total, representing more than 30 gene crystals, and the mutton can also be cut up and stored as food in the future. As for sheepskin and the fur of first-level mutant beasts, Lin Qi has already looked down on them. It was a bit difficult to break the mutant sheep's head with a long knife, but after switching to a gun, it only took a slight poke to pry open the skull, revealing the fresh brain. The two did not feel disgusted, and found clamps from the modified cart to search for gene crystals in the brain. There are 35 in total, and one was broken by you. The mutant sheep that was blown to pieces had its head blown up. Although the gene crystals have good hardness, they cannot withstand such impact. It's broken. 35 are enough for a while. Process some of the meat and pile up the rest. They may attract some mutant rats at night. Lin Qi still needs to live in this garment factory for a few days. If the rat infestation is not cleaned up, he will not be able to sleep peacefully at night. When he heard about the mutant rats, Tuan Tuan felt goosebumps all over his body and shivered subconsciously. The rat infestation is a big problem after all. A few of them alone may not be a big deal, but once they reach a certain number, even if the federal army comes, it will be a headache. Bai Su showed a cautious look. The possibility of these social creatures having genetic crystals in their brains is low, and there is no need to hunt them, but they cannot be ignored. I have an idea that should be able to eliminate these mutant rats in one fell swoop. Lin Qi looked at the open space in the factory area, and an idea gradually came to his mind. Chapter 75, Remarks on the Release. It will be on the shelves on time at 12 noon tomorrow. This is the first time I have written such a grand speech on the shelves. For a moment, I really don't know how to describe my current mood. This is my first book to be published in Sanjiang, but I believe it will definitely not be the last one. I would like to thank my editor Fu Chen for always sticking with me even though I failed. At the same time, I would like to thank the book friends who have always supported me. In the past month, I can see familiar people voting and rewarding me every day. When I failed before, I wrote books very unrestrainedly. There was only blood in my mind, and it was difficult for readers to buy what I wrote. However, as I kept failing, I gradually found some ways. The author does not want to fail again. I hope that this book can get better and become a turning point in my writing life. 5 more chapters will be presented tomorrow at noon. Please give me a first order. In the future, I will update at least 6,000 words every day, and strive to update 10,000 words a day. If there are rewards, I will add more chapters as appropriate. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.